What up, footballers? It's Wednesday, you know what that means. Let's stream. Got a lot to talk to you today about. We're going to be talking Chicago Fire selling Jhon Duran over to Aston Villa. We'll also be talking Swiss-made watches and what makes them so special. And they might have found Atlantis. What's going on, everybody? Hopefully you are all having a fantastic week. Thank you for joining us here on Spit and Fire. What Jhon Duran brings to Aston Villa, and what this transfer means for MLS by Jonathan Seagal. Last October, Chicago Fire FC head coach Ezra Hendrickson described striker Jhon Duran. Pardon me, I'm going to lower this music here for a second. Head coach Ezra Hendrickson described striker Jhon Duran as a really, really special player, one who's going places in the global game. Ezra Hendrickson wasn't kidding. As the Major League Soccer world woke up one Monday morning, English Premier League side Aston Villa announced they've agreed on a transfer to acquire the 19-year-old Colombian wonder kid. The fee can reportedly reach $22 million. $18 million is currently guaranteed, so risers for another $4 million there. A total that's tied for the second most expensive outbound transfer in MLS history. While the deal isn't technically 100% finalized, a completed medical, personal terms, and a work visa remain, it's expected to soon reach the finish line. Editor's note: Chicago formally announced the move Tuesday afternoon. So what does Duran bring to Aston Villa? What does this move mean for MLS as a whole? Let's tackle all there is to know about this groundbreaking news. Who is Jhon Duran? Jhon Duran, who can play centrally or out wide, was initially acquired by Chicago in January 2021 from Colombian top-flight side Envigado FC for a reported $2.5 million transfer fees. But since he was 17, he couldn't officially be rostered in MLS until he turned 18 ahead of the 2022 season. At the time, Duran was also the youngest international signing in MLS history. Despite his now lucrative transfer fee, Duran didn't fully break into Chicago's lineup until mid-July. But once he did, it was a question of why he wasn't featuring sooner and more prominently. Ultimately finishing the 2022 campaign, his only one in MLS, mind you, with 8 goals and 3 assists in 1,363 minutes. About 27 appearances, 14 starts, 8 goals, 3 assists, to recap. That form quickly turned Duran from a promising South American talent into a potential solution at striker for Colombia, who narrowly missed out on qualifying for the 2022 FIFA World Cup. He already has 3 senior caps for La Tricolor and is a key piece of their South American U20 championship roster. He projects as a key part of Colombia's new generation. Given all he's accomplished, it's no surprise Duran placed on the Guardian's next generation list of 2020, a group of 60 of the best young talents in world soccer. So, what's his profile? What is he compared to? Once Duran gets going in the open field, look out. The 19-year-old is a bit raw in some areas. His combination play and defensive spots come to mind, but his goal front instincts and physical profile are a handful for opposing defenders. They can't handle his speed. His bursts coming from the midline. He has the power and strength to compete in the Premier League, perhaps early on for Aston Villa, and has the inventiveness, technique to turn on a half chance into a clinical finish. Duran makes strong, hard runs in a variety of attacking situations, the type that get rewarded more often than not. It's easy to see why the likes of Benfica and Liverpool were reportedly kicking the tires of the Chicago Fire, and linked to the Colombian talent whose skill set and playing style sparked visions of AS Roma's Tammy Abraham, Bayer Leverkusen's Patrick Schick, and Monaco's Breel Mbolo. That's not to assert those well-established strikers provide a foolproof comparison, but their games offer a sense of what Duran could bring to Aston Villa. And of course, early on in that article where they're talking about the 60 best wonder kids, that's where they actually compared him initially to Lukaku. What do I think? He is fast, he can run. I'm seeing more Mbappe. But not a true Mbappe. Mbappe is like a 10 playing anywhere. But you want to get the ball to this guy's feet at the number 9 position. Especially if you could get it when you're all at the half and half, say it's coming on a counter. He can spring past these defenders and just like a lightning bolt. Don't know what that is, chat. Trying to figure out something here. There's what is this? What is this? I got like a weird red dot on my screen. I don't know what this is. Trying to figure this out here. Oh, okay, I figured it out. It's this thing. Oh, got something up there. All right, cool. I don't have to worry about that. In fact, can I just make that? I can. 50. All right. That's not to assert those well-established strikers provide that foolproof comparison, but their games do offer a sense of what Duran could bring to Aston Villa. When looking at MLS as a whole, Duran compares quite favorably, at least in expected goals terms, to some of the biggest names in the league. Brought a smaller sample size, but the potential clearly put him on the scouting radar of high-profile clubs. Take a look at this. There's Vela, Duran, Driussi, Hernandez, Arango, Mukhtar. And the thing is, he's so young, and he was doing it with the Chicago Fire, who were not a good team. Wait, how much money? Duran, according to Transfermarkt, is the 14th most expensive incoming signing in Aston Villa history. His price tag isn't necessarily surprising for a Premier League club of their spending power and transfer history, especially as they've acquired some attacking centers pieces like Emiliano Buendia and Liam Bailey, as 2 examples, in recent transfer windows for roughly double of what Duran reportedly cost. But European teams know there are deals to be found in MLS, and its players can translate to top 5 leagues. That $22 million transfer fee, in terms of the most expensive outgoing deals in MLS history, puts Duran tied with Bayern Munich left back Alphonso Davies, and just behind Newcastle United attacker Miguel Almiron. Pretty good company to keep. Right there, Miguel Almiron for $26 million. It's from Tom Bogert. Alphonso Davies and Duran for 22, Ricardo Pepi for 20, Pity Martinez for 18. Chicago, somewhat under the radar, are also becoming a bit more of a selling club. Here are the deals that they've secured in the last few transfer windows. Jhon Duran, $22 million. Gaga Slonina, $15 million to Chelsea. Przemysław Frankowski, $3 million to RC Lens. Georgi Mihailovic, $6 million to AZ Alkmaar, and because they're getting a 10% cut from Montreal's deal from that. So it makes me wonder if Georg Heitz is actually going to be locked in to the Chicago Fire at the GM helm for the foreseeable future, or perhaps elevated into maybe a different position. But the facts of the remain facts is that he is bringing in money for Joe Mansueto. He's returning on investment in some ways that other teams in the league would love to. I mean, 22 plus 15 million just for those 2 players in Gago and Jhon Duran. He was more responsible for bringing in Jhon Duran. Gago Slonina was not one he was responsible for, but the fact that he's going to have Jhon Duran in his cap along with Gaga Slonina being sold under his watch, under his tutelage, that's going to count for something. Doing some quick back of the napkin math on the reported figures. That's just north of $40 million in transfer fees. The Fire directly sold 2 teenage talents, 1 homegrown and 1 from abroad, 2 EPL teams, an established Polish international to a League One contender in Przemysław Frejkowski, and got a sell-on fee for a homegrown product heading to a top Eredivisie team, all in the last 18 months or so. Again, MLS clubs are becoming bigger players in the global transfer market with each passing window. This trend isn't slowing down anytime soon, especially with the World Cup coming to the USA, Mexico, and Canada in 2026. Well, what about the U22 initiative aspect? Well, for those who don't know, MLS is in April 2021, it launched an U2022 initiative to support further investment in young players. It's still a relatively new roster mechanism, one where the clubs are signing players about age 22 or younger to lucrative contracts at a reduced budget charge. That's the key, the kicker though. Reduced budget charge. You're getting to sign these more expensive, better players for cheaper on the books, and that always helps for them. These GMs who want to squeeze every penny they can out of these MLS rosters, and with these weird MLS rules where you can only have 3 designated players, 3 top paid players, and you have to work in everybody else with all the extra funny money, the GAM and the TAM that you got left. But without getting too far into the weeds of MLS roster rules, teams can sign up for up to 3 U22 initiative players, depending on their designated player situation. If they have 2 DPs and a 3rd young DP, that makes it so they could use all 3 of these U22 initiative players. If they have 3 older DPs, then they cannot access at least one of these U22 initiative player budget allocation savers, basically. So they wouldn't be able to go get maybe a super good kid, take a chance on, and have him turned into something like Duran for that, because they are fielding 3 senior DPs. But that's the price you pay. But you don't have to. You can field 2 senior DPs and 1 young DP like the Chicago Fire are doing, because they have their young Mexican talent is our young DP. Fire roster. As you can tell, Jairo Torres. He's so good, I can't even remember his name. But what's funny is he costs more than Jhon Duran. And Jhon Duran's going for $22 million. I don't think that Jairo Torres is going to be going for that, at least at the moment. Right. Sometimes U22 signings are homegrowns who are rewarded with a new contract, but often they're imports, like Duran, an area that's worth providing extra context around. Duran isn't the first U22 initiative signing to be sold abroad by an MLS club. Colorado Rapids gave homegrown left back Sam Vines this type of contract before he was sold to Belgium's Royal Antwerp. And FC Dallas transferred winger Jhon to Hungary's first division. There have been some loans. LAFC midfielder Francisco Ginella is at Uruguayan champions Nacional, and Vancouver Whitecaps FC midfielder Kai Alexandre is at Brazilian top flight side Fortaleza. But the transfer fee Duran commanded represents a whole new frontier, a proof of concept for what the U22 initiative can become. Chicago acquired the top talent from South America who became their top goal scorer, then sold him for nearly 9x profit, 9 times profit to a well-established Premier League team. It's a fantastic bit of business. But also, I don't know how regular you can make that happen. Not everybody has been able to go and find the Durans and the Almirons and the Alphonso Davies, right? Have to get luck plays into it for sure. Scouting. There will likely be more U22 initiative sales in the Duran mode. LFC midfielder Jose Cifuentes and LA Galaxy, Julian Araujo, San Jose Earthquakes forward Kid Cowell are all reportedly generating transfer interest across the world, but none so far as notable as Duran's pathway. Quick add-on, MLS teams aren't just signing South American talents in the U22 initiative mold. Atlanta United midfielder Thiago Almada, the first ever active MLS World Cup winner, and NYCFC forward Thales Magno are both DPs who could realistically secure lucrative moves abroad sooner rather than later. But again, Duran's U22 initiative classification is especially notable for where MLS is going. MLS 4.0, as we talked about in this podcast. Of course, nice little tweet here from newly freed from ESPN Taylor Twellman. Fantastic bit of business for Chicago Fire, selling Duran for $18 million to Aston Villa plus add-ons. Only 19 years old, but has the profile to be something special. MLS continue to improve their status in the world market. MLS. But what's next? For Aston Villa, it's getting the deal completely over the finish line, and then determining when Duran fully gets integrated. They're currently 11th in the league in Premier League standings, boosted by manager Unai Emery joining in late October, and with established strikers Danny Ings and Ali Watkins leading the line. For Chicago, it's identifying a striker or two that they can acquire to play alongside DP's Jairo Torres and Jordan Shaqiri. Their 39 goals scored were the second worst in MLS in the 2022 campaign, and albeit it was Hendrickson's first year in charge. As great as Duran was on a personal level, the club needs to find final third solutions in seeking their first Audi MLS Club Cup playoffs trip since 2017. For the rest of us, it's watching what Duran can accomplish in arguably the world's top league, the Premier League. The transfer market often moves quickly, especially when it comes to young talents like the one Fire identified and helped develop. It was quite the little transfer saga as well. Sitting here as a fan, as we were asking, will they, won't they? As the price went up on Duran, we were hearing 15 million, we were hearing 18 million, and in my head, I'm like, they can't really let him go for anything but around 20 million. And it sounds like they hit that with this 18 plus 4 modifier, this plus 4 add-on. And is he likely to get those? I think so. He's a talented player. We did not see the best of Jhon Duran here in Chicago. We got a limited glimpse of what the greatness was. But I'll tell you this, when that greatness flashed, every Chicago fan took notice. Every fan. It was one of those things where last season, where I noticed something, and it was this key game, and it was the arrival of Duran, basically. Boom. I thought a flip switch in the Chicago Fire. It wasn't a flip switching in the Chicago Fire. It was a flip switching in Jon Jader Duran on an individual basis, and I can't wait to see the future of this kid over in the English Premiership, over for Aston Villa, who's now going to be a team that I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to be paying attention to a little bit more. I'm going to be seeing what Jon Jader Duran is up to from the Chicago Fire. It's going to be pretty awesome to have somebody over the Premier League to be able to check in on in that capacity. It's been a long time for that. When's the last time the Chicago Fire had a player go from them, the Fire, to the Premier League? I remember Bastian Schweinsteiger came from the Premier League to the Fire, but I can't recall of a time when a Fire player went to the Premier League. And of course, we do also have Georgi Mihailovic, hometown Chicago hero, playing over in the Eredivisie to look forward to as well, for some European soccer play for some former Chicago Fire players. Exciting times. And as well as Gaga Slonina over at Chelsea, who got to start for the U19s, the U21s the other day. And of course, what did he do? Logged a shutout, just like he ever would. Exciting times for Chicago Fire players. Will it mean more exciting times for Chicago Fire fans? Will it mean more success this season for Ezra Hendrickson and the men in red? That remains yet to be seen. What Ezra Hendrickson's program seems, though, it seems to be developing. We saw flashes of that development last year. However, as this article hints at, and we've talked about this podcast often, on this live stream often with our friends DPG and FC Tokyo, it's what the Fire can they build on that? Do they have the roster to build on it? And is stripping out one of its best pieces in Jon Jader Duran one of the bright spots, and Gaga Slonina perhaps the brightest spot last year anyway? I mean, with all his clean sheets and his ability to keep the team in the game. Where are these wins going to come from? Where are these goals going to come from? Or are we just dreaming here as Chicago Fire fans? There is a lot to be concerned for, because Kasper Przybyłko did not bring the goals last year, and Gaga Slonina did bring the clean sheets. Will Chris Brady, who's going to be put in a very similar position to succeed and also or fail as Gaga Slonina was, as he's going to be a young 18-20-year-old kid coming in and starting for an MLS team, a professional team, and expected to produce results, to produce clean sheets, to get wins just like Gaga Slonina did. A lot of pressure for that kid. A lot of pressure for this team. Excited to see it. Kick that like button, everybody. Comment below. Where do you guys think the Chicago Fire are going to end up this season, having just sold arguably two of their best talents in Gaga Slonina and Jhon Duran? Of course, Jordan Shaqiri is still here. Jairo Torres still here. I will put it on Discord. I'm not planning on talking Chicago Fire all night. I got a little bit of a show planned, but here we go. I'm slipping on Discord. Like DPG was sliding in. I was just closing down the chat on Fire, but if you got a little MLS to go for, slide into the Discord. It is wide open, DPG. And we'll squeeze a little bit more blood out of this stone.
Yo.
DPG!
How's it going?
Let's go. What's going on, brother?
So, big news for the Fire, huh?
Jhon Duran sold for 18 or up to 22 million to Aston Villa.
So, it makes you wonder that right now, the Fire, yes, the Chicago Fire, is sitting on a pile of money. And now we have to see what they're going to do with that money. Like, we never been in this situation before. Right? This is the same amount of money that it cost Andrew Hoffman to buy the club back in 2007, by the way.
About 40 million.
40 million.
Yeah, we just sold two players for about that. That's incredible.
So, you know, and it could go higher. It could go up to 22 million if Duran, you know, has a breakout season or fulfills certain contractual obligations. Same thing with Gaga. We sold him for 10 million, but it could go up to 15. So potentially, you know, the Fire could actually walk away with close to 40 million. And on top of that, I believe there's also, they put a transfer fee clause on the agreement, meaning that if Villa decides to sell the player, the Fire gonna get a percentage of that.
Again, so, another percentage.
Again. Yeah. So, yeah. So wow. Think about that. That's a lot of money. At the same time, though, one of the big things that kind of sticks out for me is whether or not we have become a selling club to a point that we're willing to sell and sacrifice our performance on the field just to get transfer money. Like, you know, in the perfect world, we should be competitive and also be a selling club.
Right. There's definitely some truth to that, but also you got to wonder behind the man, because, like, I mean, if Chelsea's coming in for Gaga Slonina and he's like, guys, you guys got to let me go. Like, what can you do then? What, I mean, like, at a certain point, like, the player takes control of the reins and it's no longer in the club's power.
Yeah.
I think. So then all of a sudden they, as a club, they got to pivot. They got to find the replacement. Luckily, the Fire do have a built-in replacement for Gaga Slonina. Not so much for Jhon Duran.
Yeah. And I believe it's becoming a habit now that we're producing goalkeepers. You know, first Slonina, then Brady, and then I hear there's another kid down the pipeline. So, you know, it's great, but it makes you wonder if, you know, we could actually produce other players in other positions that will be beneficial to the first team. And who knows? Who knows how long we'll be able to keep Brady? Might get, you know, 2 seasons from now, he might get sold, and then we'll be in the same situation again. We need a goalkeeper. So we'll see. We'll see what the Fire does with the money. They have a lot of money now that they could spend. They pretty much, whatever they spent on Jairo Torres, on Shaqiri, you know, even Casper, they pretty much regained all that money back plus more.
Mm-hmm.
So
and they're going to get some money back in the form of funny money, I thought, too. Because I don't know how much they get of this transfer fee.
Yeah. So I believe, I think I read somewhere it was like 1,000 GAM or something like that, or TAM. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
this money.
There's some sort of funny math where it's gonna be like, oh, you're gonna get some of this money back in GAM.
Yeah, it's
In
just
coupons. Here's a stack of coupons.
which honestly, I wish that the MLS would do away with this TAM GAM stuff and just have just give us regular greenbacks, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I'm really curious to see who the Fire going to sign, and I believe, based on what Alex Campbell said on Twitter a few days ago, they are looking for a DP9. So the question is,
Yeah, this Tom Bogert just released something. It's saying that they're trying to sign a DP number 9. South Korea international Hwang Wee-jo of Nottingham Forest is among the targets. I don't know if he'd be a DP number 9. U22 initiative signing is also a target.
well, and not only that, but wasn't Griezmann here last night at the Bulls game?
Antoine Griezmann is not coming. No way. He's still got gas in the tank, right?
But he's been, his situation's a little odd because,
31 years old.
31 years old. He was in and out of Barcelona lineups. I think they were holding him back to prevent him from triggering a contract clause.
Right.
So, so he never really had a whole lot of playing time. I know now he's back at Atletico, but I mean, I don't know what to make out of that. I mean, whether or not someone from the Fire will reach out to him and said, "Hey, let's have these conversations," that remains to be seen. That'll be interesting. Honestly, I always felt that if you have a player like that wants to go to the Bulls game and he's a big fan of the Bulls, the smart thing will be to approach him. Say,
Memo
hey,
Ochoa was one such player, but we had a roadblock in Gago Sonina.
yeah, and then you when you have a situation like that, the smart thing or the smart money will be, hey, reach out to have someone to talk to him. Hey, I know you're enjoying the Bulls game, but would you like to talk about potentially checking us out?
Hey, this is so hey, come and join us in this. Like you invite them, you put them in one of the boxes, right, upper boxes.
Yeah.
And they just happen to be sharing it with Joe Mansueto and Nelson Rodriguez.
Yeah, you make a dinner date out of it,
Gator kites, but Nelson Rodriguez is there for some reason.
Yeah. You make a dinner day out of it. You say, hey, you know what? How about dinner tomorrow night or lunch tomorrow? We'll go,
Let's
take
go
him out
talk this over at Chicago Cut. Yeah.
So you take him out to the best steakhouse or whatever he's into, whether it's pizza or steak, whatever. And you talk bread. You talk, hey, how do you feel about coming and playing for the city? Blah blah blah, and give him, hey, we could throw in some Bulls floor side seats. I know the owner, but something like that. But I hope someone had some sort of conversation with him from the Fire. So yeah, I mean, based on what Tom Bogart's saying over here, so he knows that we're gonna sign a DP9, which is what we're looking for. I don't know how this. I mean, South Korea has a great national team, have great players. I just don't know how, Hwang Yu-jo from Nottingham is gonna really be that player that we need. And I do agree that for the U20 initiative signing, yeah, it should be a South American team, South American player, that comes from a championship caliber team. We have the money to pay for it, so why not?
This guy's 29 years old.
How many goals does he have?
He's not fast, but he's not slow. He can shoot. How tall he is? How tall? I don't know how many goals he has yet. Let me double check.
Let me check transfer market here.
Yeah, he has received an offer from an MLS side 6 days ago. And we've been hearing that. I would not be surprised.
So let's see. He has 53 caps for Korea, 16 goals. Okay, so there's potential there.
Nottingham Forest striker Hwang Hee-jo admitted that his decision to leave Bordeaux in the summer has yet to pay off. South Korean talisman was signed by the Reds and sent packing straight on a season-long loan to the Greek champions Olympiacos. So, like, this guy has been he's been having some trouble, it seems so, the past few years.
Yeah.
Making it work. And so do the Fire really want this guy? Unless he can make it work. I mean, look at Shaqiri. Shaqiri's been in the similar position where it's like, sometimes it's like, can he make it work? And then he comes up in Chicago and he scores more goals and assists than Gareth Bale and is still not retired.
I think he's only had what, one goal? And one goal, is it one goal?
No way, one goal.
One goal in 14 games. Yeah. One goal in 14 games. It's not good. I mean, this is a little bit risky. Somewhat of a gamble. Because we sure as hell do not need another Kasper Schmeichel situation either.
This article is not make this seem like anything but a bad signing. So, Forest striker UG disappointed by summer transfer window, blah, 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 blah. You'll likely get very short odds at the bookies for the South Korean to leave Forest without ever having played a game. He's 30 now, and if Forest stay in the Premier League, it's hard to imagine him getting a crack to shine for them. He's not, and he's also not getting in minutes at Olympiacos, where he's currently loaned out. So likely there's a big change on the cards, aka Chicago Fire or somebody else. But they're saying the striker was an odd signing. His age and his production just weren't there.
Yeah, I mean, he's, like I said, so far for this season, he's played 14 games. He only has one goal.
We already have Kasper Przybyłko. Why do we need a second Kasper Przybyłko?
Actually, let me take that back. Let me correct myself here.
Unless he's not.
He has 0 goals and 1 assist.
Whoa, so Kasper Przybyłko has more goals.
So, yeah. He started 11 times. He started 5 times. Substituted once in the past 5-6 games. So he's been starting. He just hasn't been scoring.
Yeah, I don't know. It does not seem like a good move for the Chicago Fire. It does not seem like a good spend for that money. And this, once again, reeks of desperation before the season starts. Let's get somebody in. Because now we got to do a panic move because we just lost our starting striker for the year. We thought we were going to have until May or June.
So looking at his stats for Olympiacos, he hasn't played a game with them since October 17th.
They don't want him to play a game, and there's a reason for that. And he's not injured.
Well, he's holding off for. He wants to get out of there. That's what it is. Nottingham doesn't want him. Olympiacos doesn't want him.
His agent is hoping he can get Chicago Fire to want him.
Of course.
Maybe this guy owes the agent a favor. Maybe Gilgright owes the agent a favor.
Possibly, man. But this guy is unless he has a breakout season, I mean, depending how much money the Fire are going to spend on this guy. I mean, how long do you give a guy like this to produce goals?
This guy, his best chance to make the World Cup is to do well here at Chicago. So, like, he needs this move. I'm reading this. This is from him. The summer transfer market was unfortunate, but I couldn't help it. I tried to make the best choice, but there's nothing I can say. Of course, I dream of the World Cup in 4 years, the 2026 one. I think that if I do my best every day, there will be good results. He's a South Korean. It would be a lie to say that there was no regret. The World Cup was a dream since I started playing soccer. Now the World Cup is over. My team and I have to go and do well. So Well, you got a hungry player. That's always a good thing. You like to get hungry players.
Yeah, you mean you want a hungry player? I'm sure Casper was hungry too, but it didn't pan out for him.
No, it did not.
You know, you know what? I know lightning doesn't strike twice, but I would say, man, why not go sign a DP9 from Brazil or Argentina or something
Just
like
some
that?
guy that nobody's ever heard of, or like have kind of heard of on FIFA. They're like, oh,
yeah,
that guy.
kind of, at least some guy that every now and then will pop up because his team beat so and so in a Copa Libertadores or something like that. Not some guy that's playing in the second division in Brazil, God forbid, or some guy that might be in the radar to get called up for the Brazilian national team or the Argentine national team. So I would say
Paul
a guy
Mullen. He always does well for me in Football Manager.
Paul Mullen.
Go check out Paul Mullen. He always does well for me in Football Manager. He's got 18 goals this season. He's got
with
18 goals. Yeah, dude, he fucking dominates in my Football Manager save. He gets like 30 goals a season.
Keep in mind that he's actually playing out of his league. When I mean by that, before Wrexham signed him, he was already on his way to play in League 2 or something like that. So, he was already playing at a high level. So for him to come back,
so yeah, okay. Huddersfield Town, Morecambe, Swindon Town, Tranmere Rovers, Cambridge United, Wrexham in 2021. Holy shit! He only got on Wrexham in 2021.
Yeah,
I have brought this guy to my soccer. I have brought this guy to Wrexham so many times. He
wanted to be close to family.
Before he ever came to Wrexham. That's so weird that I did that, and he came to Wrexham. Oh, that's weird. We got an FC Tokyo Neo Tokyo sighting.
What's up, bud?
Yeah, with the Elvis photo in the back.
Dude, that's my girl's. It's the Velvet Elvis. Oh, dude, and it's got my game collection.
Oh, snap.
Dude,
I'm gonna put you on the screen so the peoples can see you.
Oh,
unless you don't want
to. Yeah, no. Let it. That's why I hopped on the cam.
All right,
go ahead.
Boom. I'll let it fly. Let it fly.
Dude, you started a little bit early. Like I haven't heard shit yet. What's going down? What are we talking?
We're talking about fire transfers.
Oh God, you mean the lack thereof?
No, not the lack
the big
of
one.
The big one that left out.
No, I'm glad. I actually think that kid's gonna be a bust. I did not see anything that I was like super jacked about.
You know what? Towards the end of last season, that kind of painted in my head too. Like, yeah, he scored some goals for us, but there was a point in time after he scored those goals that he got a little quiet.
Yeah,
they were catching on to him already.
They were, and I guess I shouldn't put that kind of negativity out there on a kid. Actually, I hope he does well, but like he didn't show enough for me to have been psyched. Like I wanted him sold now and not in the summer, for real.
And a lot of people were saying that. They were saying like, "Hey, Fire, if someone offers you 15 million or 20 million for this kid, you take that money and run."
Oh yeah, you take that money and run for real.
And then that's what happened. And if he's not a bust, there's also the transfer clause that if he meets certain obligations, that price is going to go up to 22 million. So it's a win-win for the Fire currently.
For real. So wait, so he went so Slanina's money didn't hit till now, right?
And yeah, because he transferred in January. Yeah.
Right. So his money hit. Duran's money hit, and then everybody else we just released, right? So we have no more incoming cash, correct?
Yeah, we don't have. There's literally right now the Fire is sitting on like $30 million in transfer money right now. They're sitting on there.
Well, I mean, I say spend it, dude. Like you know what? We literally
it out, rub a no doubt. But you gotta no, you can't just spend it though. There's roster limitations in MLS. You can only have so many people. Gotta be.
Well, yeah, they're only gonna give the Fire 1 million of GAM or TAM or whatever that crap is. But
well, yeah, but like, what's the difference when it's a DP? Like, I mean, everybody
no,
complains about like what people make when they're a DP. It's like, who cares?
we have an open DP spot right now. We have an open DP spot.
No, not for real.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do have an open.
Because they bought
Remember,
what's his face down.
Who?
The worst DP on the fire.
Gaston.
Oh
Jimenez.
God, why can't we not? Oh God, he sucks. Somebody
So
tweeted.
we have two DPs. In fact, one of them is a young DP. So we're fulfilling our end of the rule, so we can utilize an extra U22 initiative budget allocation to get another Jhon Duran type player under the line. They got him in for $2.5 million transfer, and his salary was like it counted for extra funny money business. So a couple more signings like that.
Essentially, the Fire could get a DP and a U22 initiative player. So far, it seems like they've had good luck with getting a U22, except for Jairo Torres. But they had an amazing luck with Jhon Duran. So they could sign a high-paying, high-scoring, caliber striker for their DP, and use your U22 for a project that's on the low risk, high reward type of player.
Well, dude, there is so much to do with this team. We came to the conclusion that N'Golo Kante would solve every problem we have, and we could play Shaqiri and Guti at the same time. But
Yeah.
dude, I like the idea of cultivating young talent and then also bringing somebody in. Like we need to bring Kai Kamara in as a backup striker. Like as a backup striker.
We already got
we gotta
one.
also
It's Casper. You already got one.
Casper's
He's the same
gonna
thing.
be the backup.
I would love for Casper to be shot into space. That dude is
terrible. But if you did that, then you bring in Kai. But they're the same player, and to me, you can't do one without. You can have one, but you can't have the other. So yes, shoot him out to space, bring him in.
Yeah, but Casper looks like a Lego running out there. Like Kai Kamara will at least do cool celebrations. Like, don't forget about vibes.
In his defense, this is I'm gonna mention two players here. So Casper apparently had back issues that plagued him throughout the season. Fine, he was playing hurt. I'll give him the benefit of one more season. So if he's fully recovered, that guy should be like scoring out of the gate. Like,
did he really score like that for Philly?
I mean, that's the thing. He didn't really score like that for Philly, and I think he only had 1 or 2 seasons where he was scoring regularly.
Dude, Casper is garbage. Like I do try to not talk a lot of crap about players because they're people and they deserve to be people. But God, dude, watching him I'm actually offended that he's still on the roster. We cut.
You know what?
We cut.
He's a tough signing. Where are you gonna move that guy to? Like, you have no choice.
You're like a coach. He's not your
Anywhere,
guy.
man.
So
jettison him to Cyprus.
You can't really.
Yeah.
You gotta buy him out of his contract.
Dope.
No
Mansueto's a billionaire.
He's getting paid almost $1 million.
Dude, Mansueto's a billionaire.
The thing about it is that no MLS team wants to get within 10 feet of him because he's so bad right now. He played so bad for us last season.
Well, I'm sure some Saudi team wants to make
San Jose needs to feel a team.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Another player I want to bring up is Jairo Torres.
Yeah,
dude, now
he needs to step it up big this season.
Here's the thing, and I mentioned this before. Back in October, when the Fire had their anniversary party, I did manage to talk to Ezra about that. I'm like, hey Ezra,
you talked to Ezra? You got in Ezra's ear?
I got in Ezra's ear. I had a conversation with him. So put it like this: I asked Ezra, what's going on with the team? What's going on with Jairo Torres? He told me in his words, you know what, with Jairo Torres, we kind of got gypped. He used those exact same words. We kind of got gypped because he came to us hurt.
Well,
so he was hurt coming from Atlas, and and he got hurt some more here.
Well, I ain't gonna lie. I do believe that most guys who come over in the summer window end up like struggling, and then when they either hit or they fail spectacularly the next season. So that's where we are with him, because most of those summer, even like even the big names, like think of like when Lampard first came over here, everybody thought he was such a bust, and then the next season he just killed it. It's kind of though, like we're talking about Casper. Casper kept Gazdag off the roster, right? Like Gazdag couldn't get a start, and then all of a sudden he explodes the next season. So
look at
it is
Gazdag now, man.
yeah, exactly. So I do subscribe to the theory that guys coming over to MLS in the summer usually struggle at first season, unless they're out of this world. But I don't know, man. Like I will say this. We give these guys a lot of love and they deserve it. But today, Sad Boys put out a podcast, right?
I haven't heard it yet. I gotta hear it.
I gotta tell you, Adnan, he said he put into words something brilliantly that I've never been able to put into words, which is if I have to look the guy up that the Fire get for their next DP on the internet, they have already failed.
They've already failed.
I need to have heard of this guy.
Yes.
Yep.
Like it can't be Michael DeLue. Like it cannot, even though he didn't play terribly.
Well,
but
we
like,
just said, what if it is some guy? What if it is some no-name striker from Brazil you've never heard of, but it's worth $5 million and is worth every penny? Like
that's what I said though. But like this guy has to be at least in the radar for a potential Brazilian call-up. Like
yes,
I mean
that type.
Yeah, he needs to be that type. Now, if like you mentioned, Neil, if you sign a player that I have to look up the name of the team, I have no idea some random Eastern European team that I have to find out which country he plays in, or the guy's an unknown that's been sitting on the bench for 2 seasons or whatever, we have lost.
Agreed. Like, I don't know, man. I jokingly say the most I don't want to use the term racist, but the worst I am is against German people because of Torsten Frings. But I will say this: Eastern European soccer players are boring as shit. Like, can we just stop getting them and maybe get some South Americans or maybe a good American player? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. Like, just somebody who isn't boring, dude. Like, I just, what's hilarious?
That's what Jairo Torres was supposed to be.
It's supposed to be. You're right. I gotta say, I hate referencing Twitter so much, but I was kind of screwing around on Twitter the last couple of days. There was somebody tweeted about, like kind of one of those tier list things, and it's like the Fire was down with like they're bad and nobody supports them, which is hilarious because Chicago loves losers. So how bad do you have to be in a town that loves a loser and just be irrelevant? So I don't care if this thing blows up. I don't care. Like, I want it to be the 86 Mets, but I don't care if it's not. I don't care if this thing blows up. I want these guys out there doing blow. I want car wrecks. I want fist fights on the field. I want interesting. If you're going to suck, please be interesting. For real.
Right. Let me cut in right now for a sec. So I'm looking on Twitter right now. Someone by the name of Chicago Fire Soccer Talk just 14 minutes ago said, hearing that the Fire are targeting a young striker under age 25 playing in Argentina Liga Profesional. The other targets being monitored, but he's at the top of their list. Isn't this what we just talked about? James?
Dude, buy a big striker. Just buy a big striker. Just fucking do it. Like, be like, have the kid in the midfield, have the kid in the back, have the kid as a goalie. Like, I am not a Brady stan, but I am all about like taking your lumps with Brady.
It needs to be a name that causes shockwaves.
Striker's got to be a name, dude.
It needs to be
gotta be somebody.
It needs to be a name because I just remember right now. I just remember right now that we did this approach before. We tried our luck with that kid that we just got rid of to Lugano. We tried. Aliseda, exactly. We just tried this. Now,
no, you're gonna fail 4 out of 5 times every time with a young player. But that's the problem is most teams can afford 7 of them, but in our league you have to pick 1.
Yeah,
you get 1, and it's like
so. No, you're right, and I think is if you're gonna go for a DP9, and if you're looking at Argentina, this cat better come out from like River Plate or Boca Juniors, and he has to be in that pecking order of scoring goals. Like,
yeah, he's got to have some hype. Like if I have to look the guy up, I have to be able to see articles where it's like, why is the world not talking about this cat?
Exactly.
If I'm looking a guy up and it's just like 10 goals over 38 appearances or like 5 goals in 17 appearances, like get the get out of here, dude. Like,
Yeah,
like, no, they have to excite me. I was telling
yeah.
James this the other day, man. Like, I think I only watched like 15 games this season or this past season.
Well, I
This
mean,
is why.
It's gonna be easier to watch with the Apple TV deal, which let's talk about later.
Oof.
I mean, you're right. I would like for the Fire to go out and sign a DP9. Give me a Lewandowski. Let me get give me a Griezmann. Give me somebody I know, somebody
Got the
that I've
money
seen on
for it.
TV. We got the money. We're sitting on money right now. Mansueto has a bed full of cash right now, and fine. You put you spend the big money on the name, the guy that's going to score all those goals, and you spend a little money on the U22 player that might potentially flip for big money later on. So let's go that route. Let's stop messing around and let's just spend the money.
They got to do one more thing because Chicago, guys, we know Chicago doesn't care. They don't even love these lovable losers here in the Fire. No, they didn't care that the Fire literally just won the World Cup of transfers
Yeah.
this season, and they've sold basically 35 million to 40 million worth of players, and like that.
That's European money.
They won the Super Bowl basically in MLS terms, and I mean, besides us three, nobody knows in Chicago.
Well, I mean, in all seriousness, like I know this is
and the
a
rest of
dumb
Chicago
metric.
Fire fans.
Well, I know this is a dumb metric,
And
but
MLS
think
fans.
about this.
And I guess McQuarter. Sorry, guys.
I used to listen to talk radio like crazy. Do you think the Score has said a single word about this transfer?
Nope. Score's dying. Who listens to sport
radio?
I
didn't know the Score was dying. So okay, did ESPN 1000 say a single word about this?
They used to have a show in the mornings, Saturday mornings, on ESPN 1000 for the Fire.
Yeah, they did. You're right. That was Dan Kelly doing that, wasn't it?
Yep, it was Dan Kelly, Frank Lopez, and Fred Hubner.
Do you? Oh
Hubner,
my God,
yep.
Fred, dude,
Hubner.
hold on. I don't want to bring this down. I do not want to bring this down. The last I've heard of Hubner was his wife was not doing well. Did that get any better or?
I haven't heard anything, man.
Okay, no, this was like 4 or 5 years ago. This is the last time I've heard Fred Hubner.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, she passed. That sucks. But pour one out for Fred Hubner's wife because that dude's a cool dude.
We had him on the show. It was a great episode.
Oh, dude, you got to get him back, dude. He's one of those cats who like, we'll never have this moment again, right? In the next 20 years, everyone who will grow up in America will have MLS in their life. Yep. But there was a time where you needed meathead sports guys to either jump on board or, it's like this is the most eclectic mix of people who will like a sport in history, right? We are living through a weird time. The growth of a sport in a country. Yep. Like this is kind of wild. And
I used to text. I texted Mully and Hall once, and Mully responded back to me. I could tell it was Mully. He texted me. If you text the sports thing or whatever, the sports people, like it's them. It's the sports host reading your text and stuff.
Their phone.
Yeah, it goes to the sports host, and it's the radio phone. What is it? ESPN 1000 or 760.
I always listen to the Score, man. You know who I used to listen to all the time? Who used to hate soccer was Jim Rome. I went to. He used to do these like live things and shit. I went to like one in Kansas City and one in Madison. It was a good time. I ain't gonna lie. But yeah,
Jim, those guys are gonna pretty soon. Those guys are gonna be extinct, man, because soccer's picking up, and it's gonna be
dinosaurs
hard.
will die.
Mully's a big soccer fan, though. That was the thing. Like it was so that's why I was trying to appeal. I knew he was a big soccer fan. He loves English Premiership, but he was like, dude, nah. It's like the MLS. It's just not. It just doesn't get anybody. Nobody cares. Blah blah. He tried to say it as nicely as he could, but it's like just basically like they tell us what to play, what plays, and that doesn't play.
Oof.
Here's
painful,
the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, is what the Fire did this past transfer window. No MLS team has done this where they can walk away with 30 mil, 40 mil in the pocket.
That's what I'm saying. Where's the Chicago media celebrating this and bringing the eyes of Chicago to this?
Well, hold on. Didn't Dallas over like an 18-month period sell Richards
only sold one player,
and
they only sold one player every season though. They were
only
able
for real.
They only had they might have gotten 20 mil for what's his name, Pepe, and
Oh
they won't
yeah.
sell anybody. They wouldn't sell anybody for another, until next season. But having two players go out, on a 30-40 mil transfer, now you're talking about Premier League
On
numbers.
a last place team, like on one of the last
I mean,
place
it's
teams.
like let's be honest. It's not long before. Okay, what is the upper echelon? We'll call the upper echelon 5 leagues: England,
Spain,
France, Spain, Germany, and Italy.
England,
Right?
France,
It's
Italy. Yeah.
it's gonna be literally 5 years. It's not gonna be 30. It's not
I
gonna be
would
50.
probably
It's gonna be
say
5 years where MLS is
You guys
in
said
that
Spain, right?
category of
Yeah.
yeah. But MLS will be in the category right below it with the
I would
Netherlands.
replace France with Holland.
Well, no, Holland's in that second level, man. For
Yeah,
sure.
Holland's in the second level below France.
But,
France is still
but
above.
If you put the championship, Holland.
France is only PSG. That's it.
Yeah,
No, they got a few others. They got somebody else. They got a Leon.
Leon.
Well,
But-
they're getting the same problem as England. Like the oil money is starting to come in because, like,
Yeah.
I know Morocco kind of flamed out, but there's a few other teams over there that are like just getting their cash influx, and it's like Newcastle. You have to like slow spend so you don't get slapped on the wrist.
Yeah.
So guys, they need to bring in somebody like Lewandowski. Chicago Fire.
Yeah.
That's what the core of the fact of the matter is. If they're gonna get the collective face of Chicago media to be like, oh, Chicago Fire are a team that play in Chicago, and Robert Lewandowski plays for them. That's the only way. It's gonna be if like Lewandowski comes or Messi or Ronaldo.
They need to call in a favor for
It doesn't have to be
Frankowski.
that big, dude. Like you could do.
Shaqiri ain't big enough. Schweinsteiger ain't big enough.
I mean, I know he just moved, so he's not going to move again. But like, if you get a guy like Isaac, even you know what I mean, it's a big enough name for the soccer heads, and then you'll have the non. And then if you do a good enough job, which the one thing the Fire have done well since they've been terrible is they promote themselves well. They make good content. So you would have the Fire pushing, say, Isaac to the non-soccer fan as like the second coming, and they don't give a shit because they don't know either way. And then the soccer heads are going to be like, yeah, he's good. You know what I'm saying? So like, it doesn't even have to be a retirement Messi or Ronaldo. It has to be somebody who like is going to take that big paycheck the 2 years before they should. You know what I mean? Like,
and scores freaking goals aplenty. Like, is at the top of the leaderboards for goals. Like, that's what they need to do.
Who's that guy how old's the guy that Juventus bought from Fiorentina last year? He's kind of older, right? You know what I mean? Like guys like that, like on a team that cycles through cats. I'm trying to think who did Isaac replace at Newcastle? Actually, I know that sounds dumb, but who was Newcastle striker before that? Honestly, it's oh my God, I can't believe I'm about to say this because I actually want to throw this man off a roof because of what he's done to Jesse Marsh.
Dusan Vlahovic?
No. But if you bring in Patrick Bamford. Do we have a mini DPG out here?
Yeah, I got him a Batman toy, and he keeps asking me every 5 minutes because it's like one of those. It turns into a Batmobile kind of thing, and he's asking me.
It's like a Transformer.
Yeah, it's like a Transformer Batman. But I remember seeing that guy on the Sunderland documentary on Amazon Prime a couple of years ago.
Who?
And Bamford.
Oh, for real? He was on Sunderland before he went to Leeds?
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't. He was in Sunderland.
I have still never watched that. Is that worth a watch?
It's either on Netflix or on Prime. I think it's on Netflix.
Well, my girl has all that shit. I don't usually watch anything. I play video games and watch soccer. That's it.
So the two players that have switched from Fiorentina to Juventus recently in the last 20 years, you got Federico Bernardeschi, who's now in the MLS.
No, it's the cat. The name starts with a V.
And last year it was Dusan Vlahovic.
Yeah, that cat.
For $75 million.
Okay, never mind. I thought he was a little older.
No, $75 million. He is 22 years old.
Oh shit! Well, never mind. I thought he was like 28 or something. Forget that. Well, who else is on Juventus? Could you? Well, actually, how good is Dybala still playing well? Could you get a Dybala?
Oh,
You
Dybala
think?
is ridiculous. No, not if Jose Mourinho has his way. He would never
Yeah,
let go
fair.
of his Dybala. It's his favorite player. It's his blanket. The coach said this about the Vlahovic deal. The Fiorentina president, I'm sorry, said this. It was clear that Vlahovic already had a deal. He said no to every offer we put up for him. I went to England many times. Each time he said no. He wanted to ruin Fiorentina. He said this about the player.
I mean, why not? You already know he's out the door, man. Burn it down, dude. I'm all about burning bridges. Okay, uno momento, gentlemen. I rushed on here, so I did not use the restroom before I started. I will be right back.
All right. Runabout. Turnabout. Turn around. Thanks for everybody for joining us here on Spittin' Fire. Kick that like button. Appreciate you guys hanging out this Wednesday. We got the live chat kicking. We got Angus McHorta. He's loving the Elephant Velvis in the background. It's also on the treadmill. Good to be getting that exercise, right? Good to be. Something we all could use more of. I had some things about things in the future here. We got Atlantis. I pulled up. There's a guest on Joe Rogan that was talking about it. It was very interesting.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Jimmy, I watched your whole series on Atlanta all day today. I've been watching for hours. I've been watching impact
Atlantis,
videos,
not Atlanta.
videos about the Atlanta structure.
The Richat structure is in Africa. It's awesome.
Wait, I'm back.
All right, you're back. So FCDO Choco had to dip out just for a few minutes, but so boom, back to it.
All right, so what were we talking about?
We were everywhere, but we were in Europe. We were in the European leagues. We were talking about what could make for a successful Chicago Fire signing, and that it didn't necessarily need to be a name on the level of a Lewandowski.
It doesn't need to be in a name like Lewandowski. I mean, you could get the same performance or better from a mid-tier guy that plays in a mid-level team on the Premier League.
Here's the thing,
Or
though,
La Liga.
DPG. Bradley Wright, the next Bradley Wright Phillips, I don't think he sells seats in Chicago.
Oh,
You
you
don't-
score goals, you sell seats, bro. Like, give him 6 games. If he's got 3 goals in 6 games, the hype is real.
You score goals, you sell tickets by the sheets.
For real.
If you win, you will fill up seats and sell tickets. And I seen that happen in 2017.
I was just going to say, I would love to see what the numbers were, like the giant craters and then the huge peak in 2017. And
There
the
was a
crater
peak.
again.
I've gone through the numbers. That there was a noted peak in 2017, and then the great C word happened for 2 years, so nobody was in stadiums there for a little bit. And ever since then, the Chicago Fire are barely floating.
Put it like this. I remember in 2017, I used to get messages on my phone from the Fire app or whatever telling me seats are limited, potential sellout. I'll get to the stadium, sellout, standing room only. I received those messages more than a couple of times actually, because we were so good. We were actually winning. Everybody had hope. People were filling up the stadiums. That Toyota Park.
We
was
had
very
hope, but
lively.
we had Arturo Alvarez. We should have known. It's like a mystery novel when
He
you see
wasn't
the,
that
like,
bad though.
oh God, that
He
dude hurt my soul.
Yeah, but he actually scored goals. Surprisingly, even the bad player was actually playing good.
Well,
For
that
some
was
odd-
that season. Everybody had the season of their career, you know?
Yeah, and it's like even guys like Michael Harrington. Who
Oh my God, no Michael Harrington slander on this podcast, please.
Even though like a lot of
Stream.
people, he wasn't that mediocre.
Dude,
know.
Michael Harrington has a ride or die chick, which big up to Michael Harrington. I don't know if she was as stacked as Paul Ariola's wife, but she was ride or die.
Man, you still stuck on Pariola's wife, huh?
Dude, I showed my girl that picture. She's like, "Ooh, she's stacked." I was like, "Yes, she is." Oh my god. No, I'm obsessed with it now because I literally I was so busy at work today. My plan was to look up men's national team wives and girlfriends and see who else was winning.
Yeah, who else was winning in life?
Oh man. Dude, oh
Um,
my god. Hold on. James, I'm sorry. I do not want to derail us, but I want you to pour one out. Because I talked to everybody, pour one out for Trip. We're losing him to the suburbs.
He's making it
to
out.
who?
Oh, he's going to the suburbs, bro.
I'm in the
and-
suburbs,
Cheers.
man. Don't give me. I'm in the suburbs,
I lived in the suburbs for a long time.
Suburbs
Trust
are
me.
the place to
but I
be.
lived in Chicago for 30 years, so I earned my stripes already.
Shit, how old are you, DPG? I thought you were mad younger than I was.
I'm 30. I'm 30. What? 36, 35?
I'm
Oh, he's the
30.
same age
What?
as us. Yeah. That's all of
Yeah.
us.
Well, I'm 40.
So-
I'm the responsible one here.
So yeah. So I mean, I spent
shit,
30
we
years of my
old.
life in Chicago.
Oh shit.
But here's the thing. I don't know. I mean, you know, if you're playing, I mean, if you're a professional soccer player and you're on TV, you know, it shouldn't be that hard for you to, you know, get a girlfriend. Although I did see
To get a
somebody
good
post.
one, that's the
Yeah.
that's the hard thing.
Ooh, talk about a good girlfriend. Charlie Davies had him a good girlfriend. That woman married him after that. Oof. Because I'm not even talking about the crash. A woman will stand with you through some bullshit. But remember, he was in the car with
Ooh.
2 other ladies. Right?
Oh yeah. Oh, he might have walked away from. He might have dodged a bullet there, man.
Oof. Yeah, fair. You know what? He might have got away. Got a mulligan.
He might have said, "You know what, Doc? If it happens, it happens. I don't want to deal with."
Oh shit. Oh
Oh,
man,
but,
I'm sorry. I've completely derailed the entire conversation.
No worries, man. I was gonna say, I think a couple of years ago, someone posted a Fabian Herber's Tinder page on Twitter.
Oh shit. Fabian, I like Fabian. You know what? I like Fabian Herbers, just not when
like-
he's playing soccer.
He has a hell of a podcast. I like his podcast. That's my Tuesday morning commute.
Are they
Wait.
still putting out podcasts?
They're supposed to at the start of the season.
Oh, dude, old boy just got called up to the. Ooh, oh my God, James, can you believe it? It's a
What?
transition. Dude, Julian Gressel just got put on the roster today for the U.S. men's national team.
I
Yeah,
love
German-
that. I
a
call
German-
him the new U.S. men's national team backup right back.
Yeah, he's
Ooh.
a German-born American citizen
I
that's
thought he was a
living in
winger.
Canada.
Is he playing back?
He used to be a winger, and then I think he settled for fullback or.
He can play
Left back.
midfield. He can play anywhere.
Okay, fair.
Dude's a
fair. I
baller.
feel you.
And I love
Yo,
that.
oh
he's
my
gonna
God, hold
be-
on.
He's going to be for the U.S. men's national team. He probably wouldn't get a sniff with the German national team, right? I mean, like,
Oh,
he's just
God,
too much.
no.
But is legit probably the second best right back in America right now, right? In U.S.
Yo,
He might. Do you think he's better
who?
than Dest right now?
Hell no. Somehow Dest learned how to defend at the World Cup. And we saw Dest is now not getting a chance. Like before, Dest was up and down. He was very up and down at Barcelona. But he showed at the World Cup, he figured out how to defend. The fucking world better watch out. Because the next move Serginho Dest makes, he'll be there for 10 years.
Possibly.
You heard it here first. For real. Once he gets out of AC Milan, he'll be wherever he goes next for 10 years.
I think you know he plays in a position like I always said this. If you're a player that manages to lock in that left back, right back, even winger positions, you're pretty much set for the next couple of years, unless you have an injury or you screw up really bad. Because those tend to be those positions tend to be harder to knock someone out of the starting lineup. You know, if you're a striker, if you don't score the first few games, they bench you.
Right. I mean, I told my cousin he had a kid, and he's like, "Oh, he's interested in soccer. I don't know anything about it." I said, "Have him play left back. We haven't had a left back in 40 years. Have him play left
You're
back."
saying that, yeah.
But like, well, Anthony Robinson, thankfully, is all good now. But like, yeah, I totally told him tell the kid to play left back.
And ironically, you know what? Ironically, everybody's always interested in getting that striker, that attacking midfielder. It's weird how you manage to produce fullbacks, right backs, even central defenders. Because the strikers always get the glory. Those are always going to be the guys that everybody's going to pick.
Dude, we are one good ass striker away from actually being legitimate competition.
I mean,
Right now, but we need that. That's if
And
Brady
a center
steps
back,
up.
really. I don't know, man. There's some kid that they're talking about maybe not swapping allegiances, but like hasn't declared what country he's going to play for. That might be our striker, but who knows?
What's his name?
I forget now. He plays. What's
It's not
this
that
kid's
kid
name?
that plays in America, is it? In Mexico?
No, I think he's considered English currently, but could play for America, and he's playing in Germany. Maybe I'm not sure, man. I don't remember. Total Soccer Show is all about him.
Okay.
Ooh, they
But,
do their scouting.
Dude, so hold on. Transition back super fast. I looked up something before I went and peed. Peep this. I'm pretty sure Firmino is like 32 years old. Do you think the Fire could just splash all this cash and get Firmino? Or
I mean,
would you want him?
you know what? It's because we have Omsberg, we have Chichos.
No.
We have
Roberto Firmino, the guy from Liverpool. Liverpool, center forward.
I thought. I don't know why the hell I'm thinking center back. Okay, I mean, that's a lot.
They're all about Darren Nunez, right?
I mean, that could be the DP striker. That's a
That's
noticeable
what I'm
name.
talking about, bro. Like, what do you think?
I don't
You're
see
gonna
it
have a lot of
happening. Saudi clubs are pushing for Roberto Firmino, but Jurgen Klopp holds firm. This is from a day ago.
Yeah, but like
they have that oil
Firmino might
money,
not
man.
want to
And
play.
now
in
that
Saudi
Ronaldo's over there, it's okay to go, guys.
No, it's not. Trust me,
It's okay to go if you want to cash in the last big paycheck. Like if you're in your mid-30s and bank account's a little low, and this oil tycoon from Saudi Arabia is throwing all this money at you. I mean, you take the money and run, right?
You have to.
James,
It's a smart business decision.
I see you looking him up. How old is he?
31.
See, I'm telling you, that's the smart money, in my opinion. Dude,
But can Joe Mansueto money compete with Saudi money?
No, but does that Brazilian man want to play in Saudi Arabia?
I don't.
You know what I'm saying?
Was he at World Cup?
No, he did. He got left off the roster.
I mean, if you grease the wheels enough, they'll go to Saudi Arabia. I mean, we still
Then
look
he's
at
going to Saudi Arabia. He ain't coming to America.
He's not getting Ronaldo money, so it won't be as
even
different.
if you get half of Ronaldo money.
He gets to live in America instead of Saudi Arabia for a little less money. He's totally coming.
Even if you get half of Ronaldo money, you're still getting a big chunk of change.
No one is getting even half of Ronaldo. Like Ronaldo money is only reserved for Ronaldo and Messi.
I mean,
like there is no other in like if they were to pluck a Erling Haaland or a Mbappe, which they never will, right? That money is reserved for like 6 people on planet Earth. Everybody else is gonna get that sweetheart kind of Shaqiri type money.
What about Giroud?
Dude, old and slow and old.
Love him.
I mean, honestly, if the guy
handsome
can
as
stick,
shit, dude, like yeah, let him hit, but no, totally like no. Do
If the
not
guy
want him
can
on the team.
if the guy can stick out his leg and divert a ball into the goal,
Scorpion
I mean,
kick.
that's all we need is a guy that sticks his leg out and can put that ball in the net. That's what we need. I mean, he doesn't have to be too fast. And that's been our biggest issue this past season was that we're able to get the ball to the third, to that final line, but we can't do anything with it in there. We can't do anything with the ball in the box. We try crossing it doesn't work. We try walking into the box, it doesn't work.
You know who's better than Giroud?
Well,
Harry Kane.
Well, that too, but Roberto Firmino.
yeah, but he's gonna take that Saudi money. He's gonna take that oil money. He's
He's
gonna.
for sure taking that. We just laid it out.
Dude,
There's no
if you can
compelling
live in
reason for him to go to MLS. There would be if he was trying to get back on Brazil, but he's not. He's out on Brazil. He's done. He's going.
Dude.
It's for the money for him.
Listen, we all grew up here and we all see what sucks about America. But remember, there's still an odd, like, mental thing out there in the world that America is this and that, and these
America's
guys
the greatest
vacation
country
here
in the
and
world,
stuff.
but America's the greatest country in the world.
Uh-huh.
But
Living. It's a
Yeah,
great
this
place to
country
live.
could offer me a whole bunch of money that after working there, I could go live in the greatest country in the world.
Well, that too, because my theory behind that is that, come on, if they give Cristiano Ronaldo $70 million to go play a season, you don't think they have him? You don't think they have him in the most expensive plush hotel or mansion or villa, whatever they're having him?
Yep.
They're gonna pretty much shield this guy from everything that's bad in that country.
Yeah, but hold on. You go to Saudi Arabia, every person in Saudi Arabia will know who you are. Remember, don't forget, you can come to America and be a star, but also ride the L.
Ronaldo wanted to go. Did you think he really wanted to go to Kansas City?
Hell no. I think no. I think his agent knew, but I think the thing was, how many European people have you heard be like, oh, well, I want to fly into New York and then we'll drive down that night and be in Florida, right? So I think he thought Kansas City was super close to something. Dead ass. I'm dead ass serious. I bet he thought Kansas City was like a 2-hour ride from New York or Chicago, right?
So they show him a map.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, these guys, like Europeans don't know how vast this is,
Keep in mind, another thing to keep in mind is that this Saudi Arabia authorities are actually being very lenient on him. And what I mean by that,
dude, they changed their law.
He's not married. He's not married to his current, baby mama, Georgina Rodriguez. He's not married to her officially. So, and technically, if you pull that stunt in Saudi Arabia, that's a death sentence.
Yeah, for
right?
real. See, there's that stuff you don't think about either. Because, like,
Right.
let's be real. We all thought. Here's the thing. Think about Qatar. Think about the difference between Qatar and South Africa. South Africa made changes to get that bag. Qatar had enough money to tell Budweiser to go fuck itself because they were able to be principled because they didn't give a fuck about that bag.
Yeah,
so don't overestimate how life in Saudi Arabia might not be the best versus like the prospect of America.
Yeah, they told Budweiser to get the fuck out of here and I'll
Dude,
take your beer too. Take your shitty beer too.
They
Guys,
literally
you
were
guys
like,
gotta hear
we're
this
going to
about-
wipe our ass with enough money. We're going to take actual money and wipe ourselves because go to hell. Like
This-
they did not care.
Show us the goods.
This is from good sources, guys. Tom Bogert and Taylor Twellman, guys. Multiple MLS teams inquired about Ronaldo and his future, but one team was already at the table, Sporting Kansas City. Their offer was so compelling that Ronaldo's team had multiple meetings with Sporting Kansas City before taking the Saudi deal. The package, wages, commercial was said to be very close. And Tom Bogert confirmed, sources can't confirm Sporting Kansas City were the MLS team that came closest to signing Cristiano Ronaldo. What the fuck? Talks
telling you,
ongoing for weeks. It was a real possibility. They're really trying to sell this idea. Package was very good. Plans were being made to make it happen. SKC had his discovery rights. Path to sign him wild.
I bet you any amount of money they showed him a plot of land in either Kansas or Missouri that was like a compound.
They showed him a whole state.
And
Yeah.
they showed him a compound
This
where he
is-
would be able to live away from everyone.
This is
Yeah.
And then I
Idaho.
bet he still thought it was like a 2-hour drive to Chicago.
Yep, and I bet they probably said this plot of land, we're gonna build you a mansion, the biggest one in this state, because it's it's the middle of nowhere, and you could do whatever you want in this plot of land, but you
Dude,
gotta
he
sign
could win
with
all Charles Manson
You
and
could
have
start a
women
new.
and
You could start
living outside all
Cristiano
hippie-like.
America land.
Yeah, you own this land, but all you have to do is sign on the dotted line and become one of our players. And on top of it, they probably said you only have to play half the games in a season.
Right. I bet he literally didn't know. I bet he was just like, what? Like it'll be like 4 or 5 hour train ride to LA
Yeah,
or
it's
New York, right?
How far is it from LA?
Yeah.
How far is it from New York?
Yeah, exactly. Like
Uh,
4 hours, right?
How far am I from the club in Miami?
I bet they would have fleeced that cat so bad. He would have got his compound. He would have been pissed.
So when are we going to Miami? How's that 45-minute drive to Miami?
Yeah, exactly.
You can get
Exactly.
to
Where's
Texas.
the train? Where's the train?
Ronaldo's got a private jet, guys. He could probably just jet anywhere he
Oh,
wants.
I mean,
Yeah.
fair. You're right.
And you probably could guarantee that the Sporting Kansas City ownership is gonna pretty much cover his jets, his transportation, his compound, his mansion. They're gonna comp him on everything. So
Man,
if
they would have got him a harem, dog. Like
Yep.
they would have done anything to get him.
They would've- yeah.
Dude, think about the harem that the Saudis offered.
Oh,
Okay,
Is that-
actually, that's more realistic. You are
yeah,
completely correct.
That probably was in the deal. No, allegedly.
That's a very big possibility. I mean, have you seen those Etihad Airways commercials and all that?
Oh my God, that woman standing up on the building. Oh my God, I'm not like afraid of heights, but that shit would have had me crazy.
Can you imagine Ronaldo having a mansion in Topeka, Kansas?
Oh God,
He'd be getting lost in Kansas City. Chat says.
I'm hard thinking about it right now.
And the worst part about it is that his neighbors are not even gonna know who he is.
Well, he probably would live next to Mahomes, guys, and probably they keep them
Oh,
both protected.
fair.
Hey, the
You're
same
probably
security
right.
team, keep them all protected.
Oh man.
If anything, the Kansas City residents would probably be like, "What is he playing for the Chiefs?
Isn't he? That's the kicker for the Chiefs.
That must be the kid. Oh, that's the new kicker from the Chiefs."
I bet you 100% a number of fans would be saying that. Walking him down the street.
God.
They'd recognize him from the news. They'd see his face. They'd be like, oh, there's the Chiefs' new kicker. He played soccer.
We're gonna win another trophy.
He used to play soccer for that Real Mad team.
Real mad team.
Real mad.
Love it.
Real Madrid.
Yo, so are we going to talk about this roster, or did you guys talk about it before?
No, let's talk about the roster. What do you have in mind, Neo?
What roster? The Chicago Fire roster?
It's the same roster.
Man, I don't want to be sad. Stop making me sad. My girl started watching, or not started. She loves the show House or whatever. The doctor with the cane who's a douchebag. And like we just saw this episode where all these dead babies. I was like, Jesus, this is depressing.
Why wouldn't I watch that?
Heavy
Man,
shit.
But it's worse when you have a kid and you think about that. Hell no, man. Change the
No,
subject.
fair. You know what's funny is despite the fact that I love death metal, I hate sad like TV and movies.
Yeah, man. It's like even I seen a news article about people killing kids. That just it gives you a different vibe once you have your own, man.
Did you see that baby with a gun? DPG, how many guns have you given your babies?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
That's an irresponsible dad right there. That guy, you deserve to go to jail for that.
Unreal.
Right?
Unreal what he did to his child by his negligence. If
Oh my God, man.
he or she
brutal.
potentially, allegedly.
You need to go to jail. Yep.
Yeah.
But going back to this roster, it's basically the same roster from last year, except that you don't have no Ivanov, you don't have no Duran, you don't have no Slonina.
I was talking the U.S., bro. The U.S. roster dropped today.
Man,
but-
don't.
What US
I
soccer?
don't.
What do you mean?
Look.
The January. Are you kidding me?
Look. Don't even. I don't care about January transfer. I don't care about January camp.
Cupcake,
There's not even a coach there. They had to Google the coach.
Yeah.
Listen, if
It's
there
just-
was no
don't-
Camp Cupcake, Logan Paws would have never
Look,
played for the
You know
US
what?
team.
It's a bit. It's the whole thing with Berhalter is more interesting than whatever's going on camp right now. I'm
All
gonna
right,
leave it at
confirmed. DPG hates Logan Paws. Anti
I
Logan
do
Paws.
not hate Logan Paws. I actually have a Logan Paws Captain Armband.
Oh,
his
no
last
way!
game.
No
So,
way!
Yes, it's sitting in one of my containers or storage containers downstairs in the basement.
Oh
but-
man, that's beautiful.
I want to get it signed someday. So if I ever see him, if I know that he's gonna be in an event or something, I'll bring it for him to sign it.
What's that cat doing these days? Is he like an assistant to an assistant? Is he assistant to the regional manager?
I don't know what is he doing. At one point he was like doing something with one of the teams out in California, and I don't know what he's doing now. I don't know what he's doing now.
Oh, for real? He wasn't even like in the fire tree? That sucks.
No, it's like, let me see if if he still has a job.
Check his LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Yo,
actually,
hold on.
he's a program director.
Hold on, bro. Hold on. I've never done LinkedIn. Right? Like never. I'm not like a social media cat. I'm a
Wait.
Twitter guy. Words, right?
I
Yo,
think-
why is so many people shooting their shot on LinkedIn? My girl's been on LinkedIn forever. Dude, Hose is coming out the woodwork trying to hook up on LinkedIn. Is that the new Tinder? Like, what is
That's
going
news
on
to
here?
me.
That
I don't
shouldn't-
go on that shit.
Job, man. I mean, unless they're doing that to get you a job, I don't know, man. But going back to Logan Paul's, I think I found his LinkedIn. He's a program director at Northwestern Medicine in Chicago.
Is that the correct Logan Paws?
I hope it is, because all it says is program manager from January 2018 until present, and then it has a big gap, and then it says University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill in 2000 to 2004, which checks out. So I think I got the right guy.
Yo, who was the kid who quit the fire to be like a doctor or like a huge real estate
Oh.
guy? Was that
Are you thinking Brandon
Brandon-
Vincent
yes,
Yeah.
Brandon Vincent.
to be a
Hell yeah.
financial consultant? Yeah.
Oh,
Who's gonna
God,
make
that's
more money
even
doing
worse.
that?
Yeah, I know, but still, like, how boring is that?
Some people
Speaking of
just,
boring guys, power rankings got released for
Oh
MLS.
shit, are we down at 15?
The Fire are down at 15.
Wait,
Hold on, I gotta see this.
wait,
Hold on, I
we're
gotta
all the
read.
way up at 15? How many teams are there? Like 30? How
There's-
are we not
there's
at
like
27?
28. Yeah, I know. That's what and with Duran gone, Gaga gone. They've only released 15, and we made the cut. What the fuck is going on?
Where's where? I gotta see. What's the article saying? I'm trying to look it up right now. All I see is 6 clubs need to sign players. Yeah, I know the Fire do.
I have less optimism than they do. Like last year, I fell for this shit. Hook, line, and
What the
sinker.
Yeah,
I
everybody
was
fell
like,
for that.
oh, playoffs.
They're saying
Everybody's
Philadelphia,
ouch.
Cincinnati, Nashville, Columbus, Orlando, Toronto are the teams to beat. New York Red Bulls, Inter Miami, Montreal are up there. Revolution, Charlotte, New York City FC, Atlanta United, DC United, and finally, your Chicago Fire.
See, like, I don't get why everybody's high on them. Like last year, it's like when that local band puts out like a CD kind of thing, and you buy it, and it's like, oh, this song jams, and then they basically re-record 3 of the 5 songs for their next demo to try and push, and it's the same song, but it's not even as bad. Like it's like the same that they're running back the same thing with less parts and no
That's from yesterday.
Honduran Bornstein. God, that man is never gonna buy a drink again.
You know what?
playing in
You know what?
Honduras.
You know what? Ooh, I got a story to tell about that. So he's
Whammon is gonna be throwing themselves at that man.
So I got it. Well, he signed for Club Deportivo Vida.
What's his name?
Jonathan
Jonathan
Bornstein. He's
Bornstein.
playing in Honduras,
Yeah.
dog. Yes.
He just signed with
He's
Club. with-
never gonna buy a drink again in his life.
So the team he's playing for, which is, by the way, the name is Club Deportivo Vida. So this team is one. I consider this team. This is a funny team. I think it's a funny team because this team always survives relegation in the Honduran league.
Oh, they have.
Yes, they have relegation.
He went to a relegation and battled team.
That's
in
not even half the
Honduran
bad.
league.
That's not even half the story. So this team
Yes.
has had a habit of not paying players, or they're delayed on playing
Oh.
players. And I think one of the players, when they announced the Bornstein signing, one of the players they announced them on Twitter or whatever, and then one of the players from that team said, "Okay, well, can you pay us now?" So yeah, so he walked into a shit show.
And
Who's his agent?
So they can't even pay the players, and they're signing Bornstein. What's going on there?
Why does his agent hate him?
I think, you know what? I think Jonathan Bornstein just did it out of, you know what? I'm gonna retire, so I'll just
Yeah. Oh, he's a Honduran legend.
On
Well,
arrival.
you know, I never got a chance to tell him the story about me and my dad watching that game that he scored that tying goal. Like,
Oh
you know,
my God. That was the worst game in the history of time because Charlie Davies had just had his accident and Onyewu blew out his knee. Onyewu should have been great. And he wasn't even like, I love Anguchi Onyewu. And just to see him deteriorate to the point that he couldn't even start for Philly hurt my soul so bad.
but I do have his autograph. I did get his autograph though, so I actually have a
Last
fire
season?
jersey.
You
Yeah.
got it last season? Nice.
Yeah, I got his autograph on like 2 different things. So I'm glad that I was able to at least to get his autograph. But
So
yeah,
you were telling that you told him the story about when you were watching the game?
I never got a chance to tell him. I would have loved to have a conversation. I was
What's
hoping
the
to see
story?
him.
Were you there?
So no, I wasn't there. I was actually. So this was back before. This is back in the day where, on my computer. So I'm watching the Honduras game. Honduras wins. My dad's actually watching it with me. So we're both sitting on my bed on the computer, watching on the computer. And then we're watching the USA game, and they're down 2-1, and I'm thinking, we're gonna go face off against Uruguay or something like that, right? And I'm watching this game, and it's going to the 90 of something, and it keeps, it's corner kick mayhem on the Costa Rican side. It's like they're getting, US is getting corner kicks, and I'm like, oof, I'm already thinking in my head, we're gonna go playoff, we're gonna go to the playoffs, and then out of nowhere, I just see that header go in, and I'm like, I think I froze for a good 30 seconds to kind of process what just happened.
We won the group with that, right? Didn't we win
Yeah.
the hex?
I think so, and it's like my dad was like kind of like in shock too, and I turn around and I tell him, hey, I think we just qualified for the World Cup.
Dude, we qualified the game before. Connor Casey with the brace.
I still don't know how that bum was able to score goals like that. Like that guy struggled to score in Colorado.
No, he did. Do you remember the Omar Cummins Connor Casey strike force? My
Oh
God.
my God. It's just he wasn't when I was watching that game, I was watching that game too, and I'm like, how the hell is Connor Casey scoring goals for the USMNT? What the hell's going on?
That was like the darkest timeline. When Brian Ching kept getting starts over Josie Altidore, I am surprised I didn't have an aneurysm because I was a young man at that time, and I was far too invested.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be paying attention to the Honduran sports site and see how he does. I mean, I don't really follow the Honduran league. I mean, I'll follow.
Who the hell does?
I mean, I'll follow Olympia when they're playing in the CONCACAF Champions League or when they're playing in the CONCACAF League. But that Honduran league, I mean, Olympia is pretty much that's it. That's the face of the Honduran league is Olympia, and that's it. Everybody else is just practice for them.
50 goals and 119 appearances for Connor Casey at Colorado, and 39 goals and 148 appearances for Omar Cummings.
Not a bad
God, those were the days, bro. MLS 2.0 was almost the best MLS.
How many games do you guys think that Jonathan Bornstein played for Chicago Fire?
46. No, I'm sorry. 52.
What do you got?
DPG? What's your guess? I already know. I know it.
He's probably played around. Let's see. He was here 2019. It
It
has to be in the 40s.
Guys, it's going to blow your mind.
Okay, what is it?
83.
If it's more than... Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. I thought you only played 2 seasons.
83 appearances, it said.
He got here in 2019 or 2018.
2019 to 2022, 83 appearances and 2 goals for the Chicago Fire.
Damn.
I mean, yeah, I still remember one of the goals he scored last season. So Jonathan Bornstein, good luck to you. Enjoy your vacation because you're playing in a club that's known for a resort town. So go ahead and live it up on the beach.
Hold on. We brought up we brought up Jonathan Bornstein getting Honduras to the World Cup.
Yeah.
I would like to bring something up that I feel like not a single pundit, not a single human has ever brought up.
What's up?
Graham Zusi scored against Peru to get Mexico into the 2014 World Cup. Had he not scored that goal, Mexico staying home and
You mean
Peru is
Panama?
going. What? Yes, I'm sorry. That is.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
about to be
say,
like,
watch what you're gonna say.
yeah, no, I didn't. I don't want to be disrespectful. I just wanted to be a douche real quick. So anyway, I don't know if you know this, but in 2018, had Mexico just not scored a late goal, even with the result that we had, the U.S. still would have went to the World Cup. Mexico could not reciprocate.
You know what? I don't think U.S. has learned their lesson since 2018. Well, they might have already, but whatever ego they had, the thinking that they were too good to play on wet field and all that, and they were too good for everybody else in the region. I hope that all this hit they got rid of that for 2022, because we cannot let history repeat itself in the 2026 World Cup.
No, not at all. Not at all.
That's always been my biggest issue with the U.S. men's national team, is that they always gave off the vibe that they were already better, like they already won the match.
I don't know, man. I remember when we were scrappy and we were like, Dos a Cero is the greatest thing since sex.
We were scrappy in 2001, 2000, 2002.
Dude,
even
2007, 2008, we was scrappy.
Well, yeah, even up to that. But after 2010, for whatever reason, they kind of.
Well, Donovan's goal makes. Watch that goal and tell me your dick doesn't feel 15 inches. Dead ass.
That is true. That's what. But that city that you're showing right there, that's actually where the club plays. That's actually a resort city. So, yeah,
hey, good on him, man.
He's gonna play. He's gonna be living on a beach and occasionally playing soccer.
Dude, I don't want to get too totally stupid political, but I want to tell you something, man. Like I think just by talking to me, you can kind of tell where I lean on shit.
Yeah.
And so to me, you vote for Democrats, you don't get a cookie, but you vote for Republicans, I feel like you're a piece of shit. So my favorite sports team of all time in any sport of anything is the U.S. men's national team. Because it's just so fun. It's so few games. It's the biggest collection of people around the world. Like, I'm not even like rah, rah, rah America like that. I just like this collecting parts. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I literally, when they elected Donald Trump, like in this country, I was so depressed. I found myself, I couldn't even root for the U.S. team. I couldn't even root for it. I hated it. And I said to myself, I was like, you know what, man? I'm not going to watch this team again until they don't qualify for the World Cup. I'm like, if they just keep being slightly successful, fuck this. I don't care. Whatever. I'm sick of this.
You can't let Donald Trump, Biden, Barack Obama, Ronald Reagan, you can't let any of those guys affect your love for the U.S. men's national team.
But like,
they
I just didn't feel good to be here.
I can understand absolutely why you felt that way, but I'm saying...
So what's funny?
Try and employ a new Jedi mind tricks, and because holy cow,
I think soccer in America is more or less left leaning. So to speak.
It is, yes,
it is for the most part,
a lot more or less left leaning.
Because Alexi Lalas, he's kind of like a
he's the Tucker Carlson. He's the Tucker Carlson of
he is the Tucker Carlson.
Yes.
But no, that's what I was getting at is like I said I was not going to watch this team until they just failed to make the World Cup. And son of a bitch, they had a 3% chance of missing the World Cup, and they did. And I turned and at the time, I looked at my girl at the time. I was like, well, shit, I guess I'm going to watch them. And then I got to get back on board with, Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Tyler, like this has been so much fun getting back on board. Yeah. I'm kind of so happy we missed 2018. I feel like had we made 2018,
we would have the same issues.
We would have had that jump. Nope. Yeah.
No,
I
wish we were there.
I think if we would have made 2018, we'd probably be still playing Beasley.
Dude, for real, that's what I'm saying. I feel like had we made 2018, we'd actually not have progressed this far.
Exactly. I think, and because that failure actually led to a whole, like, a kind of a somewhat revolution for U.S. soccer, where they said, what the hell are we doing? Like, in the words of Taylor Twellman, and it kind of made them reevaluate players, like the young guys that are going to Europe, and everything just kind of fell into place. Because
It did, because I'll say this for two things is I'll say these players, for lack of a better term, don't deserve to have been Bill Bucknered, like Dempsey and Josie and Michael Bradley and stuff. But I think the program progressed further the fact that we actually cut ties earlier than we should have. Because there's so much. I'm going to say this one just for the people in the back. There's so much revisionist history on Michael Bradley. Michael Bradley was an MF&G. He was awesome. Dude, like, it was Michael Bradley
he was
and
awesome
who else? It was
when he
Michael Bradley
didn't play
and Sasha.
when he
Michael
didn't play for
Bradley and
Toronto.
Adu. Yeah, I mean, he was good for a while for Toronto. Now,
I hated him when
time
he played in Toronto because
okay.
I
feel you.
hated him. I hated him when he played for Toronto, and I don't think I made that point known to him, literally known to him until 2017, where I told him that's why you couldn't cut it in Europe. And I told that to
That's
his
so
face.
bogus, dude. I remember, dude. I you know what's funny? I'm so sorry. I don't want to take us too far off track, but I'll say
Yeah.
this. Also, James, check the Discord. I'll say this. When Grant Wall passed, one of the first thoughts I had, and one of the first things I said was like, I remember a time when all we had was Grant Wall and JP Delacameron.
Yep.
And then
Rest
I
in
just
peace, Grant
remembered.
Wall.
I remembered being at work on my computer, refreshing ESPNsoccer.com constantly to hopefully get an article from Mike Labella or who was that cat? Oh no, Mike Pecky. My bad. To maybe get Mike Pecky to have an article on there. To maybe get a Brian Sherretta
Even
article.
Alexis Lala's brother was at one point writing articles.
Dude, Greg Lawless was awesome on the MLS podcast when it first started.
Yeah, and
dude, I remember these times of when all we had, when we had Winning Ugly, and they were all talking about Dallas constantly, and when all we had was when Jason Davis was fucking Match Fit USA. You know what I mean? I remember when shit was lean, and it's so crazy to be where we are now and to have the players that we have and have the just to have a real culture about it. Before, it just felt like you desperately needed to validate soccer. Now it's just kind of like, well, if you're not down, fuck it. Who cares? Here's the circle.
Here's the thing, though, is that you said it best a couple of months ago when you said there was a point in time where we will have one of our guys, a U.S. player, go out to play in the Premier League, and we were literally desperate to look up news on him and how he did in that game. Before obviously this became all, streaming was available and everything. And now it's like we don't have to go that far. We could just turn on the TV Saturday morning, watch Leeds United, or go to ESPN Plus, watch the Bundesliga, even the La Liga, and watch some of these guys play live.
There's literally 30 games with an American in it.
Guys,
I remember
right before our eyes, a soccer culture is being facilitated and fostered by these places, and it's finally seemingly taken an unconscious hold into us. We few who've been here along the ride the whole way, we're kind of looking around and we're realizing, holy shit, they've built this up, and they built it up around us while we're walking through it. And it's kind of amazing to see. Another thing, we were talking about how Garth Lagerwey, there's a million Garth Lagerways for the British team to pull from for their coach. There's a small pool from the U.S. teams to pull out. But at least now there is that small pool where years ago we're pulling from Bruce Arena. So it's finally, we've moved on to a next tier up in coaching quality because our players have gone up in quality too. That's been a nice dovetail. I'm going to take a quick leak and I'll leave you guys with that thought.
And I mean, and not only that, it's just you look at the men's national team now compared to 20 years ago. It's the team itself. The U.S. men's national team has become more diverse, a lot more diverse.
Yes, agreed.
Now we are actually fighting Mexico to get some of these Mexican American players to play for the U.S. men's national team, which never happened before. Most of the time, they'll just if you were to ask the same someone 20 years ago, a kid that was Mexican American would just say, hey, do you want to play Mexico or USA? They'll say Mexico right away.
Oh, for sure.
Now it's like, wait a minute. Do I really want to go to Mexico, or do I want to play for the U.S. national team? And you're seeing that now. With Pepe, with with guys like Jesus Ferreira. Jesus Ferreira could have easily gone and played for Colombia.
Dude, well, like it's just look at the people on the team. You got people looking around saying like, well, Timothy Weah's here, Pulisic's here, Weston McKennie. Like like you're starting to get that thing that I feel like some franchises never like the Cubs. I felt like they never really leaned into the fact of like, dude, come to Chicago, play for the Cubs, and if you are the team that wins the World Series, you will never buy a drink again in your life. No matter how bad you screw up with drugs and hookers, you will be able to have a used car business. Like you will be literally a made man if you win a World Series here, right? And so like that's kind of the thing. Like it's starting to feel like some of these cats are like, well, I like all these guys and like it's an exciting team. And you know what? If we're the one who does win with America, here like I'm awesome, right? Like it's like I don't know.
I mean, and it's like for example, like the 2023 U.S. Men's National Team, January camp roster. You're looking on the roster. You look at this roster, and you have a bunch of guys that are there for the first time, which is always a good sign. You're not having the same guys you had in the World Cup. Now you're really trying to look for more talent. You want to add on to that that last World Cup.
Well, what this roster mostly tells us, like, let's be honest, everybody's gonna bitch and complain about Robinson and Long and Zimmerman, but here's the problem: like every other back is in England or is in Europe.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So like, there's no other like real good. You need experience somewhere. That's the place to have it.
Yeah.
And they're experimenting. Whereas January camp used to be, here's all the MLS guys who had a good season. One of them will rise up and make the team.
Yep.
And so like it's a really good sign to be like, okay, here's the young bucks, man. Here's the deep end and kick them out.
Exactly. I mean, you have guys like Cade Cowell on the camp. You have Brandon Vasquez. You even have Alejandro Sendejas from Club America.
Wait, are we talking about the camp call up, guys?
Yeah.
We just started. Yeah.
All right, because I was gonna say I saw your thing. I actually had that pulled up too. I had that ready to go.
And think about this. Alejandro Sendejas plays for Club America. Like this guy, if there's anything about this guy, that he's in the eye of the Mexican press, and for him to say, you know what, I'm gonna go try for the U.S. Men's National Team, that's saying a lot. Like,
So you guys really think that this camp matters?
It doesn't matter in terms of if they were go on to lose the next 2 games. To me, it doesn't matter. More or less, what this is doing, it's putting in the seeds for some of these young MLS guys to get that experience and potentially be used throughout the next 4 years in tournaments. Because obviously, we're not gonna, the U.S. is not gonna play in the World Cup qualifier. But
so what confuses me when I look at this and when I look at this, and the first thing that says to me what this roster doesn't matter, what tells me that the evidence I present is Sean Johnson being there at all. Sean Johnson is not in the 2026 U.S. Men's National Team roster.
He might not be. He might be the veteran guy.
Well, hold on. How old is Sean Johnson? Let's not forget.
Hold on, let me see how old the Milkman is. I think he's in his 30s. Let's not forget
that like Brad Friedel was
33.
Playing.
He'll be 37 for the World Cup.
Exactly. Let's not forget Brad Friedel was 38 starting for a Premier League club every game.
But Brad Friedel was part of a U.S. Men's National Team that had a hard time blocking in a decent goalkeeper. I mean, it was usually him. At one point, it was either him or Casey Keller.
Wait a second. Wait, did you say a decent one? Because I'm going to slap you. The U.S. had world-class keepers all at the same time. Keller, Hanneman, Friedel, Howard.
But the only ones that got used was Casey Keller and Brad Friedel. And then later on, it was Tim Howard.
Dude, I forgot Brad Guzan. That's how good Tim Howard was.
I
forgot about a world-class goalkeeper.
Brad Guzan, but
from Illinois.
We had 5.
We're talking about a rotational goalkeeper role.
No, dude, I'm saying we had 5 world-class keepers at one time. Dude, we had 5 starting Premier League. We had 20% or hold on. 25 Yes, 25% of the Premier League starting keepers were Americans.
Hey guys,
Yeah,
I
but for
have
some-
a pop quiz for you both. Not to sidetrack, but it relates to Sean Johnson. How many more appearances does Sean Johnson have for New York City FC than he has over Chicago Fire? So
105.
do a minus. So subtract Fire appearances from his New York appearances. How
I
many
say
more
105.
appearances? You think he has 100? He's appeared 105 more times for the New York City
you know what?
than
80. No, I take that back. 85. 85.
So
I
what do you
think he's probably in the 30s, maybe one more. Well, 20s. I'd say in the 20s.
So you think it's a similar number, closer to 20s and 30s? Not. Well, this is gonna blow your mind. 176 games played for the Chicago Fire. 179 for New York City.
Games. Wow, he's played.
Wow, he did not feel like he was
And
at the
he's not
Fire
even-
that long. The Milkman
Dude,
felt like he left far too early.
He did, and I think he started off in 2010, 2011. It was him and what was the other guy's name? Andrew Dykstra or something like that.
What? Oh,
Dykstra.
Andrew Dykstra.
Dykstra, there you go.
Well, no, listen. Remember, it was John Bush was the starter, then Dykstra, then Sean Johnson, and then John Bush got traded 4 days before the season. And so we started with Dykstra, and he bottled it for like 3 games, and then Sean Johnson came in and
never
locked that
looked
down.
back. Yeah, he never looked back.
Until apparently Matt Lampson.
Oh God! But that
Oh
was
my
a
God.
coaching decision. That was a bad coaching decision.
Dude, that was Matt Lampson listen, he might be a good man donating to charity, or he might have had so much dirt on that other man who was our coach at the time.
Pano.
Oh my God. Oh, dude. Anytime I think of Pano, I just picture him in his office. All the players in the locker room, he's in his office, taking shots of Rumpelmans with a bear playing Russian roulette. That's all I can think of anytime
Well,
Pano's
dude,
name is brought
I
up.
could imagine walking into that office. It's probably smoke filled. These guys are chain smoking. They're over here eating like Eastern European food on the table and deciding who's gonna play. And he's like, "Fuck that. We're Lampson today, not Sean Johnson. Lampson."
Do you guys know where Veljko Paunovic is currently coaching?
Yeah, Chivas.
Chivas.
Yeah, that dude-
Guadalajara.
That dude fails up. I just need to like get on his staff. That dude fails up in life everywhere. It's fucking amazing.
Oh my God, he fails. He. It's weird how this guy went from like winning the U20 World Cup to managing the Fire to managing a championship team in England, and then gets fired from that, and then
It's almost
somehow,
like the only success he's ever had in his life is a knockout tournament where weird things happen sometimes.
yeah, and then he lands a job. He lands a job in probably the second best team in Mexico, and it's like
Or at least the second most popular.
the second most popular, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
You know?
no, I wish I'd fail up like that, bro.
Like that's like saying, oh
If-
yeah, you screw
Like,
up
hold on. If James was on a similar trajectory, his next failure would get him to be Mr. Beast.
Yep. It's like, dude, it's like if you can mess up
I don't know
your
if I'm that
your
talented.
job so bad that you get fired, but then you land another job that pays more and is more
Right?
prestigious, and you mess that up, but then you still get another job that's better.
Guys, did we finish
Oh,
talking about the U.S. men's national team roster though?
No,
'Cause-
we haven't talked. We haven't
so I got
finished it.
Gaga Slonina, Sean Johnson, and a guy I never heard of, Roman
Roman's-
Celentano.
He's from the Chicago area. He's from Naperville, I think. He plays for Cincinnati.
That's sick.
So you got two Chicago area guys.
Naperville, Illinois, 22 years old. Cincinnati, 6'1".
I hate Naperville.
Oof. Why you hate it? Why? That's like a nice place to live at.
They have nice
No,
things.
no,
and they raise,
no, it's
they have,
not.
And it's a
It-
nice place to raise a family and for your kid to go to
Yeah.
school.
Exactly. Good school district.
You hate nice
guys are-
things.
You guys are insane. There's a lot of money out there. Anywhere you find money, you find disgusting and horrible people.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty
Secondly,
sure.
Secondly, no one can drive. No one can fucking drive out there. The roads are a demolition derby hellscape that few survive.
So you talk about? Are you telling me that you see a bunch of senior citizens driving fancy cars that don't know how to drive and shouldn't be driving those expensive cars.
No, I also see people who just cut you off. Like I have a small theory about people in small towns versus big cities, right? Like I came to Chicago and everybody's like traffic, traffic, traffic. And yeah, driving the suburbs to work and home sucks, right? But like I feel like people in Chicago drive a whole hell of a lot better because
They
there
drive more
is
aggressive.
well no, they don't, I don't think.
Yes, they
It's
do.
just
Yes,
no,
they
because
do.
I feel like in the small town, everybody just assumes because no one's usually ever around that everything is theirs. And they're way more selfish. They cut you off more. They're like not paying attention more. You know
You
what I
know,
mean? I feel like people in Chicago are cut you off less and pay attention more.
I don't know about that. I mean, I feel they drive more aggressive way because you know what? That's the Chicago way.
I agree.
And if you got a problem with that, they'll send you to the morgue.
Can I
That's
blow,
the
Dude.
Chicago way.
can I blow your
Dude.
mind about this Chicago kid? He's a draft pick.
Yeah,
Second
so-
overall.
So we know that the Chicago area teams, I don't know if it's in the water, but they could develop good goalkeepers. We got Roman Celentano, we have Gago Solnina. At one point, we had Brad Guzan. You know, so yes, it must be Lake Michigan water.
It's gotta
Could
be.
You know,
Or all
it's-
that lead in our pipes.
I was at a Lollapalooza and I heard these people come from Sweden and they were raving about the water. They were like, this guy and his girlfriend, they were like, oh my gosh, the water's so good. They turned to me and they were like smiling and laughing and they're like, because they're shocked at how good the water is. I'm like, yeah, it's good shit.
We
Yeah,
live,
I mean,
we live in a fortunate place, guys. You know,
I've never been to New York City, but we got good bagels.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
put
yeah.
it like this. There's people in California that can't even get decent water. There's people in Michigan that
True.
can't get decent water. But
Flint.
yeah, we get decent water. We're
I mean,
fortunate.
you say I just think we're Midwestern, so like we've grown up with all these chemicals so much, we have the immunity to it.
Oh my
There's
god! Here
there's
we
a little,
go. Here's
there's a little some of that, I would imagine.
yeah. Well, yeah. You need to have the body get some immunity on something, right?
There's that in every single, I think, people around the world. There's something like, in the food or in the water. People people live in a certain part of Greece, like live longer because they have all this olive oil.
Yep. Olive is good for you, actually. Olive oil is really good for you.
True. Guys, I want to bring it back though. I had two other things on the docket, but unless we want, besides the U.S. men's national team, which we got off again.
No, there was there any disappointments or surprises?
No,
I
I
wasn't
mean,
surprised.
I don't see
Julian
Sean Johnson's
Gressel
there,
being-
and I like Paxton Aronson there.
Yep.
Brandon Vasquez, good to get him in.
Agreed. Now it's the time to integrate Vasquez.
I like
And-
Matthew Hoppy on the forward. I mean,
But isn't he playing? Like, why would Middlesbrough let him come?
I don't know. I mean, but then
I thought he was playing.
Who's Emmanuel Sabi? Is that a new guy? Anybody info?
No, don't know.
No, I don't know him.
Oh, I gotta look him up now. Then
The cat, the outside back for New England. I'm happy to see him. Jones, Dijon Jones. I don't
Emmanuel
remember
Sabi,
Oh.
born in Italy. He's 25 years old. He's
he
he's
plays in Danish
but he's
Superliga.
had it, but he's actually been with U.S. call up for the U.S. under 18s, the U.S. 20s, and the U.S. 23s. So he's been in the U.S. system since 2015. Emmanuel
Yep.
Sabi. This will be his first actual men's team call up though, if he gets a game in.
So yeah, so Cade Cowell, I saw him in the Olympics qualifier. Obviously, Paul Arriola getting back from his honeymoon. I don't know how well rested he's gonna be.
Good point.
Quote unquote.
Point.
Let's see. Kellen Acosta. Fine. Aiden Morris.
Oh,
Don't tell me he's related to Jordan Morris.
he is not, but some
Okay.
podcast was talking about him today. I forget which one. I was working.
Alan
I was busy.
Sonora.
Aiden
That's that
Morris
cat
from
that-
Fort Lauderdale.
So Samora is the cat that played in.
He played for the Crew.
no,
plays for the
he
Crew.
was. Oh, he does. I thought
Aiden
he was out in
Morris.
Portugal.
Aiden Morris plays for the Crew.
Oh, Aiden Morris. Okay, no.
Aiden Morris plays for cool. What about Alan Sonora?
I thought he played out in Portugal, but it says he's a free agent on the thing.
Well, if he's a free agent, what the hell is he doing on the list? Unless he just
No,
got
he-
released.
I think he might have
Alejandro
just got
Zendejas
released.
or what was it? What
No,
was it? Oh,
Alan-
Alex
Alan-
Sonora.
Samoa or whatever.
Got it.
Sonora. He's on the midfielder side.
Yeah.
Actually, I gotta look him up now.
He's an
5'7",
attacking midfielder.
24-year-old, plays for Independiente from New Jersey.
Oh, never mind. He's in Argentina.
But he plays
Oh,
it for
damn.
Independiente. He played his youth career was with the Boca Juniors.
You know what? That's you know what? That Argentine league is pretty rough. And if he's a scrapper, I'm all for it.
His
I feel you.
brother
I'm
is
with you.
Joel, who plays for Portuguese club Maritimo, and they are the sons of.
That's
they're
that
the,
cat.
Yep, they're the sons of Diego Sonoro, who played in
He used
the
to play
MLS
for DC United. Yeah, he used to play for DC United.
and Tampa
Wait,
Bay Mutiny and Metro Stars and Dallas Burn and Boca
I remember
Juniors.
I remember this because he was in my FIFA 2000. When I used to like DC United way back in the day.
Oh, bro, you know what we need? A 30-on-30 about Santino Caranta.
Oh God, we do. Oh my God, that
I
guy
need
was.
it. I need it.
He was so
I
hyped
love.
up. They hyped him up so much back in the day. Oof.
Well, you know he was on drugs, bro.
Oh, he used to drive out to man, I think he used to drive out to Jersey or New York or something to get drugs.
He was talking about his rock bottom is when he had like his 3-year-old in the back of the car. He was meeting some sketchy fool in the parking lot of some like Walmart for some drugs, and he was
God,
like,
man, I hope he gets. I hope he
like,
got
Dude,
help.
He did. No, he got clean. There was like a, yeah, dude. There's like a little mini ESPN movie on it.
Guys, how come this is the first time hearing about Joel Sonora, dude? He's 26 years old. He's got U.S. call-ups, none for the men's team, but just for the youth team. He's
What
in
team
the
is he playing?
system. How is this guy
Never
not
heard
earned
of
a
him.
call-up? He's playing well for well enough for Maritimo, Banfield.
Oh, wait a minute. So this guy, this Alan Sonora, he's without a club as of January 1st, so he might have gotten let go.
That's what I'm saying. He said free agent on the.
But
Bring
but
him
here's
to
the
Chicago.
thing. He shouldn't. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this guy. If you look at his experience, career stats, he's played in the Copa Sudamerica. He's played in Liga Profesional. So he's played against some of the best teams in South America. And he scored in that. He has scored in those tournaments. So he's had 87 appearances throughout various, Liga, Copa de Liga, Copa Sudamerica, and all that. 87 appearances, 11 goals, 7 assists. He's played a total of 5,104 minutes throughout his whole Independiente career.
Another Argentina top flight is apparently looking to sign him as well. I'm reading an article that was printed 2 days ago.
So he might go back to Boca. He might go to River Plate. He might go for one of those teams, man.
He should go to I mean, screw it, man. Take
San
a flyer, bring him
Lorenzo
up
is
here.
apparently looking at him.
That's a good team.
Oh my god, dude! I remember watching Fox Soccer Channel back in the day. We
Oh
were
my
talking about back in the day.
yes,
Like
yes.
you would get Australia League in the middle of the night. They'd replay Serie A games. They had Argentina games. They would play Match of the Day on there. Like, oh,
I remember
Eric Winalda revealed to the world that John Hark smashed his wife on that channel. That channel was epic.
And if you do you remember
it would
Gold
play
TV?
USL games on Friday nights. Do you remember that shit?
I do remember. I remember Fox Soccer, Fox Sports World, whatever it was called. But I also remember Gold TV.
Oh, I do, but I never
man.
had Gold TV. Never.
I had it for a little bit. And oh my god, they used to play a lot of Copa Libertadores matches on there. And oh my god, sometimes you'll turn on the match, bro. Do you see those stadiums, bro? Oh my god, there's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
Man, those Argentina games are crazy with the fences and oh my god.
With the fences, the flares, the stuff being thrown on the field. Oof,
oh.
Man, I don't know how anybody could play in an environment like that if you're the away team.
Oh god, it's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty.
Yeah, so think about that. This guy is coming from playing in environments like that. I mean, that's why I say the Argentine league, it's pretty rough.
How did we not bring some of these CONCACAF games? He's the freaking perfect type.
I mean,
maybe.
Maybe. I mean, he's getting his chance now, right?
He's getting his chance now, finally. His older brother has not yet, but, maybe they're on the radar again.
Yeah.
Everybody's on the radar right now. We are the furthest moment you can be away from a World Cup.
It's true.
Everybody. Eddie Johnson, let's see what Eddie Johnson's doing these days. Like, bro, everybody is up for grabs right now.
I mean, and pretty soon, depending what happens with Gregg Berhalter, then you might have an open seat on the head coach table.
No, there's no way they would have re-signed him by now. There's no way. Berhalter is done.
Yep. I think,
And I think they're going to drag their feet for a year and see who gets fired in the big leagues.
Chat saying that I remember when the only soccer I could see was a PBS show called Soccer Made in Germany.
Angus, how old are you, Kat?
Jesus.
He's in his 50s.
Like, you must be older than me. Oh, did you say 50s? Hell yeah, 50s. He is.
Yeah.
I remember when Premier League games, you could only watch them on pay-per-view. Way back in the day. You could only watch Premier League games. And I'm talking about like late 90s, maybe 2000. You could only watch Premier League games on pay-per-view. I remember that.
That's crazy. I remember I bought pay-per-view. Oh my God. Did I ever tell this story? It was during the 2010 World Cup qualifying. You know how like CONCACAF does, like the home team has the TV rights.
Yeah.
Guatemala had it where it was the only way it was available was pay-per-view. I spent $30 to watch Marco Papa in the 85th minute beat the U.S. off a free kick 2-1 after having a terrible season with the Fire that year. It was
Marco Papa, former Fire player, former Fire legend.
Yo, didn't he get in some trouble?
Oh my God, he got in all sorts of trouble, man.
Yeah, he had some issues.
He had some issues in Colorado, and then he went back to Guatemala, and he had some issues there, and I think he got arrested in Guatemala too. So,
yo, is Blanco still arrested?
I don't know, man.
Like, is Blanco in jail? Because remember
Blanco?
No, Cuauhtémoc.
Cuauhtémoc Blanco's in jail?
Dude, he was a mayor of some town and was stupid corrupt. Are you serious?
Well, they are having cartel problems down in Mexico.
He was super corrupt. But maybe he just got like recalled or some shit. And maybe he's not in jail. But he was super corrupt. 59, bro. Angus, I love you, brother. You just made me feel young.
What? I'm about to blow your fucking minds. Chicago Fire destroyed Gerard Piqué and Shakira's relationship. Let me tell you how.
What?
Chicago Fire signed a player named Cuauhtémoc Blanco. Cuauhtémoc Blanco had some issues, with him and his wife, to the point where his wife had an affair with Gerard Piqué, and Shakira has written a song about it.
Shut the fuck up. I knew about the Shakira joint because, trust me, I know all things about Shakira. But, yo, I did not know. That is wild.
The Colombian singer Shakira had released this new single with a dedication to Gerard Piqué after the soccer player allegedly was unfaithful with the famous singer-songwriter, and this caused the divorce of them. This article is written in a different language, so they're translating. Now, just as it happened to be former Mexican soccer player Cuauhtémoc Blanco with his ex-wife, Shakira did not hold anything back. Wow. There it is.
God, it's like poetry in motion.
Oh my God, this is watching on a novella or something.
Hello, novella.
What's on the agenda? What else is on the agenda?
I got two other things at least. Because men love drama, guys. I've been told this by my wife, by Miss Spitfire. She's been saying, I think men love drama more than women. And I'm like,
hell yeah.
I'm like, yeah, in some ways, like we like the idea of drama because when shit gets real, fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to drop the drama and then shit gets real. Drama's more fun to play with, I think. Right? I think that's what men like about it. So I have Apple TV deal.
I don't know. You're making me feel like a Keemstar type, and I hate that.
I have Apple TV deal, which is not really a lot of drama, but the drama, if you guys want to talk about it, I don't know how much you saw. Eric Winalda and Alexi Lalas getting into a little Twitter spat. Not that it's a big here to do about anything. It's just like more, the U.S. men's national team getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you got more of these people that have quality opinions, good about soccer, good smarts about soccer, good coaches, with Winalda, or good opinions with Lalas every once in a while. These guys are like the upper echelon of soccer, and when they get into a spat, I think everybody kind of is like, "Whoa, what's going on here?"
So what happened? What were they arguing about anyway?
It's just people. It really felt like it was. Here's how it is with Alexi Lalas. People drag Alexi Lalas. They drag him. They drag him into things he doesn't need to be involved in. And I
That's
think they
good.
dragged him into something involved with Ronaldo. Ronaldo said something about Lala's having an opinion, and they're both entitled to opinion. His opinion wasn't like that Lala's couldn't have it. It was just like, he's entitled to it. Boom. And when Lala was like, yeah, okay, blah blah blah. Then they started bantering back and forth. It got a little tense there. And then actually Lala's kind of turned the other cheek at a certain point. I'm Team Ronaldo guy myself, but Lala's turned the other cheek at a certain point and just basically just said, all right, boom. It ended the whole
Alexis
tiff.
Lala is like the Tucker Carlson, like you guys said.
Well, I thought it was interesting to see him be not the bigger man, but he was just the bigger man that could just, just be like, all right,
it's
I'll
Alexis
take
Lala's. He's not going to waste his time on Eric Ronaldo. Alexis Lala's on TV every week.
Right.
Eric Ronaldo's only there when they invite him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, come on, he's not going to waste his time.
There was something about Eric Ronaldo being able to coach a USPL team to be able to beat an MLS team, and Alexi Lala said he could do that, and then Ronaldo's like, no, you couldn't. And then Lala's was like, yeah, I mean, maybe I couldn't, but you couldn't do this, blah blah blah. Then it turned into shots fired.
I mean, Alexis Lala's at one point he was like a GM, and that didn't work out so well for him. So, I mean, he's good where he's at. He's good on, as a color commentator and these sports shows and pretty much blasting Mexico and their fans. He's good where he's at.
Yeah. And eventually it went to that way. It's just it's funny seeing these fights develop on Twitter, these nothing fights. I know.
It kind of makes. You would think that these guys from 1990 and 1994 will have like some sort of like close unity with each other because they were at one point the only available soccer players at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But man, some of these guys hate each other, and we've seen firsthand friendships being broken apart by petty stuff.
Even guys that we thought were close, like Gio and Berhalter, yeah.
And on that note, I gotta hop, guys. I gotta go.
All right, DPG, greatly appreciate you swinging by, talking a little soccer with us.
All right, no problem, guys. Until next time.
Until next time, I was DPG 10-year season ticket holder. FC Neo Tokyo taking a few minute break here at the moment. But so yeah, that basically sums up the Alexi Lala's won all the tiff. I was like, say la vie, take it or leave it. But I think it speaks to how Mrs. Spitfire says, men kind of like drama. And I'm like, maybe we do. Maybe we like to play with it a little. It's fun to play with. And then that brings me to our final topic, at least for the soccer side of things. That will be the Apple TV deal. It's going to be coming into effect here. Take a look at that real quick. Apple TV Plus. Can you show us? Is there even an ad for it? There's no ad yet up here. They're not pushing it on the site right now. At least not that I see, right? See if we see Shrinking, Echo, Dear Edward, Severance, Truth, Blackbird, Station. Nope, not seeing any advertisement for MLS on Apple TV, but I do see it here on the MLS site.
Wait, do you have Apple TV?
Oh, I have it, and I'll be getting I have it through my friend, so like he shares with me because he doesn't, between me and him, and I'm gonna pay him so I can get the Apple TV thing. So
wait, how much is this gonna cost me to watch the Fire?
On your own, it's $99 if you don't have Apple TV Plus already. If you don't have some sort of the subscription, it's $79 if you already have a subscription, which is truly not that much cheaper.
No, because aren't you already then paying for a subscription?
You're already paying for the Apple TV subscription on top of that. It's on top of that. So I don't pay for the Apple TV. I just get to use it, but I would offer money, pay for all of this to my buddy, and basically, boom.
So wait, is this $100 for? So if I pay $100, do I then have Apple everything and MLS?
If you pay $100, you will just get the MLS package. You'll get every MLS game ever for that $100, bar none. No blackouts whatsoever.
Wait. Will they be on demand? Will I be able to go back and watch any of them I want?
I believe they are all on demand. Let me read this article real quick.
Listen, I have got to run.
I'll get into this I'll let you sign off, and then I'll get into that to answer some of the questions.
All right, perfect. Because I am not the one to talk about streaming services, but James, thank you so much for letting us come on to your show. I always have so much fun with you and DPG, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. FC Neo Tokyo, check me out. I'm trying to find the right streaming schedule, but I have this fiance thing that likes to spend time with me, so I'm trying to find the right schedule for me.
You're not a bad problem to have.
I'm thinking Thursday nights, Sundays, and then I think I'm gonna continually crash your stream. That's kind of my plan. So
and even still with my stream, like if we, as time goes on, you know, maybe we don't feel like talking soccer for a night. Maybe we want to do some game and shake it up or something. So,
bro, I'm telling you, I have delusions of grandeur. I would love to get like 4 to 6 people together to do like a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday night type of thing to play like big multiplayer games together. And then like honestly, I told you, listen. Anybody listening to this, anybody who's gotten here to the video on the replay, anybody in the chat right now, tell James, smash the like, and tell James that you want to see me and him start a 2 guys on the couch gaming channel. Because I think we could do some damage, bro. I think we should play some Bloodborne. I think it'd be a good time.
Absolutely be on the docket. I got it in the backlog.
Hey, tell this kid it's a good idea. I mean, what?
Let me know in the comments, guys.
You're getting married, right?
Yep. Mrs. Spitfire is about to be the Miss Spitfire.
Can you believe this? I'm gonna tell you this, bro. I did not expect, like, me and my girl, we both whatever have been married before, and we like met and we're like, we're never gonna get married again. And then just one night, like we're chilling, we're at some bar, and I look at her and I'm like, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And she's like, yeah, me too.
Shit.
So then I just proposed.
That's what that thing's for.
Right. I just proposed, and we quite literally were going to get married 3 weeks later. And there has been a litany of things that have delayed that. We are still not married. That was April. We were supposed to be married 3 weeks later. So hopefully, like, in like a litany of things, like right now we can't even do it until at least mid-February.
Yeah,
right?
You need to take a moment and replan it. That's my recommendation. Stop.
There's no plan. There's the courthouse and my parents.
Yes, courthouse. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, do it.
That's it, bro.
But no. You actually do have to do a little bit more planning than that, because I'll tell you from experience. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
You got to get that license.
You got to get the license. So you actually got to go to the courthouse with them. And on top of that, once you have that license, you go home and you got to wait a day, and then you schedule it with them, and then you got to make sure your date's available.
Dude, I didn't have to schedule the first time. We just went in and like we were like the last one before lunch break.
For us, where we are, we had to schedule, and we were happy to get the date and time we did. But,
dude, we didn't even try for like a crazy date, like me and the ex.
Dude, no,
it was like 1/11/11.
Okay, that's your first. That's your first and last mistake. Here's what you're gonna do this time, because the number is crucial. Tokyo, this is my little piece of advice. It's not numerology or numerology, but there's something in the power of numbers. So you gotta find some sort of number that rings with power for the both of you. And you'll see.
I like that.
That's what we did. We had like a whole month or two of dates, and I said I throw out these numbers, and we're like and then I throw out these numbers, and I'm like, oh, that feels like it has power to it, a good power to it. It's just like you know what I mean. It's imaginary. It's all imaginary. It's the numbers you kind of like or find attractive.
Imaginary. It's like praying,
but it also could be something to it.
Meditation on things.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. There's something to it.
The energy that you give it.
So that's my recommendation. I mean? Replan, take that moment, and try and find the good power day for you guys. That's what we did.
I love that. I'm literally gonna go bug this woman about that
that's why,
now.
And when you find your power day, that becomes your it's not just your anniversary at that point. It's like your like you realize, wow, what a powerful day that we already had this, but we. Oh man, it just I don't know, it just fills it up with so much more power. I don't know, it's a good idea. Good
bro,
mojo.
I love that. I love mojo shit like that. Like legit, I know like it's deep into January at this point, but we're totally going to go down the lake, right down the shit that like we want to ditch in our lives, the shit that we want to happen in our lives, put it in a bottle, light that shit on fire, and throw it in the lake.
And make sure you don't see her wedding dress or whatever she's gonna wear. Make sure you don't see her wedding clothes until she walks down the aisle, what have you, wherever the aisle is, even if it is a courthouse. Man, just
I helped her pick it out. I made sure she had to be hoey, dude.
No,
like,
you better not have seen it, dude.
Listen. It's got to be.
Some rules you do not break.
Nah, bro. It's not why it don't matter. Like just without lack of a better term, just have it be hoey.
No. Angus saying when he was married, it was so easy. Got the license out in Clark County, Nevada at midnight, and got married the next day.
Nice. Listen, Thomas, I got to roll. I love you, brother.
All right, Toke.
You have a good evening.
Good luck. Have fun. I'll catch you next time.
Peace.
That's FC Neo Tokyo. You can check him out, friends of the channel, on the friends of the channel tab on my little YouTube channel. If you click over on the tab thing on the you know what I'm talking about, on the community tabs channel there. Go check him out. He's always got some great content, and we always love hanging out with FC Neo Tokyo and DPG, talking a little soccer with them and whatever else comes up like this. Little marriage talk, little wedding talk, eh? Always fun. Guys, all right, so I'm gonna get into a little MLS. I want to talk a little Atlantis. I want to talk a little Swiss-made watches, and then we'll close the show. So Atlantis, guys. This guy came out Atlantis the other day, or came out Joe Rogan the other day talking about Atlantis, and I'm like, the thing about this guy is like, I stumbled upon his channel years ago, a couple of years back, because I was onto the rich hat structure as potentially a spot for Atlantis. It's just, let me show you what the rich hat structure is. It is the Eye of the Sahara. It is literally, you go to the map, the astronauts could see this from space. Let's just take that off. We're going to be able to see it without, you could already see it on the map. It's right there, that little black dot. There, that little black dot. That is the Eye of the Sahara. And we're going to zoom in on that. And that is not the Eye of the Sahara. It's right next to it. It's right next to it, guys. Right there. It's the Eye of the Sahara. But hey, I was right on top of it. I mean, right on top of it. All right, let's zoom out. That's why. There you could see it. There's the eye. Now take a look at this erosion. Do you guys see the way these sweeping sands just seem to get... Wait, yeah, this way. Sweeping sands into the ocean. And meanwhile, over here is Cape Verde. Over here, the Canary Islands, where Cristiano Ronaldo is from, potentially an Atlantean. Cristiano Ronaldo from Atlantis, an Atlantean. And here's the Azores, which are also rumored to be potential spot for Atlantis. We'll get into a little bit more of that. So here, the Eye of the Sahara, visible from space. Look at it. Look at this Richat structure. So this is a circular structure. They're not exactly 100% sure how it formed. They think it may have to do with volcanic activity, rising, falling, rising, falling, rising, falling, of a bubbling effect, and creating what we see here. Now, the reason they point to this as Atlantis is because the circular pattern. They said, "Oh, Atlantis had this weird circular port." Back in the rumors that we got handed down from Solon and the ancient Greeks and Plato, that's where we actually get the Atlantean myth from. The myth is passed down from Plato's great grandpa Solon, who was like a famous king of Greece. So Angus saying, isn't this episode from years ago? I'm pretty sure I've seen this. Nope. There's updates. There is updates. So this is new. He was just on, and I want to get into some of that.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Jimmy, I watched your whole series on Atlanta all day today. I've been watching for hours. I've been watching
the Sahara. In the Sahara Desert of Mauritania, called the Richat structure.
Yep.
It's also commonly referred to as the Eye of the Sahara.
Eye of the Sahara, correct.
It is a site that most people have never seen or heard of before, which is truly peculiar because it's so spectacular.
I'm super familiar with it.
Astronauts
to the point where I think it isn't
space.
Atlantis.
It is a geological feature that is
I don't
said
think
to be
it is
volcanic in
Atlantis,
nature.
but I
And
think it's very
what's
interesting.
So
Joe Rogan. Joe
spectacular
Rogan's the
about
fucking
this
shit,
is that
dude.
it just so happens to
Dr. Joe
match
Rogan.
more than a dozen striking
Who
similarities
calls him that?
to
Somebody
what
called
Plato
Aaron
had
Rodgers.
described as the lost ancient
Aaron
capital.
Rodgers calls Joe Rogan Dr. Joe Rogan. I thought it was hilarious. Good Aaron Rodgers show earlier today, or from the other day from the Pat McAfee show.
And what's so spectacular about this is that it just so happens to match more than a dozen striking similarities to what Plato had described.
It matches, guys, but to me, I've studied this. I was on this with this guy for a minute. I rode this years ago and rode this journey, and I came to the conclusion that I don't think it is. But let's take a ride.
As the lost ancient capital city of Atlantis.
I almost feel like we're not going to do your video justice by just talking about it, because the video is
I have the
so
video
good
pulled up
and
if
you
we
go
want
into
to.
so many details. By the end of it, my jaw was dropped. I was
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. There
holy
are some
shit,
jaw-dropping moments, but
From
still-
what you had the last time you were on the
think there's things that
podcast
miss.
to what you put out now, it's even more compelling. Like way more compelling.
I appreciate you saying that. And I guess to anyone that wants to check it out, I have a YouTube channel, new, or if I'm at some, and it says Lost Ancient Roman Map.
This is a YouTube
has
channel.
Atlantis
It's called
and Sahara,
Bright
Africa.
Insight.
And that's kind of
Bright
where it goes from there. Is that
Insight.
there is a, actually, let me just mention real quick. Like, you're a very inquisitive individual. You have many interesting people that come and chat with you. And when I had asked you last time, you said that until you had saw my Plato
Okay,
had just
great.
Atlantis. And what's interesting is that the very first
hear
known
it.
king of Mauritania, which is where the Richat structure is located, is also
By the way, the Moors come from Mauritania, or at least Mauritania was established by Moors. You know what else was established by the Moors? Morocco.
their very first known king was also named Atlas. And though I'm not saying that that's the same individual,
What? Their king was named Atlas?
first king of Atlantis. And what's interesting is that the very first known king of Mauritania, which is where the Richat structure is located, is also their very first known king was also named Atlas. And though I'm not saying
Maybe
that
it's
that's
a
the
god
same
type king.
individual, but what we do
Well,
today
maybe
is we
that's
pass
the
down
connection.
names, right? Like people are like, oh, my dad's name's Jhon, and so is
Atlas.
my
that's
son.
interesting.
And so it's another
So
strike.
the first king of Mauritania, this place, this little structure. Mauritania is this land. People live out here. Doing what? I don't know. But the king of this land. Where'd it go?
Striking similarity, but it goes further than that.
First
like
one
there's geological
was named Atlas. A little weird.
similarities.
Also, how do they know that? Do they have this written down? Because unless this is written in Egypt somehow, I don't know how they would have that, or unless it was some sort of oral tradition. I'm curious.
Such as the fact that Atlantis was said to be made up of red, black, and white color stone, which is another
Again, red, white, and black colored stone.
geological similarities, such as the fact that Atlantis was said to be made up of red, black, and white color stone, which is another similarity you see at the Richat structure. It was said to have an abundance of gold and that the outer walls were lined with it. And it turns out that Mauritania is loaded with gold. And not only that, the richest person ever known to exist in all of mankind is Mansa Musa of the Mali Empire, which consisted partly of modern-day Mauritania. And he was so rich from gold that he would be richer than Elon Musk and like Bezos combined almost. Like many unfathomable amount of billions of dollars. So that's another similarity.
What year was this?
Oh, this is 1300s or 1400s?
There he is.
Yeah, there we are. 1312, 1337.
What a great name, too.
Mansa Musa.
Yeah,
He's in Civilization 6.
But the
He's really
similarities
good with
don't end
money.
there. There was said to be an abundance of elephants, which is one reason why to suggest that Atlantis would have been in Africa is because, well, besides the fact that elephants are known to be throughout Africa, they used to be in Mauritania. They're unfortunately pretty much extinct there today.
Whoa,
But another
that's
little
something.
detail that most people aren't aware of because
Whoa.
they think of Atlantis.
Okay, holy shit. That's something, guys. Elephants in Atlantis? I mean, it could be Asia. There are Asian elephants, but interesting.
Elephants, which is one reason why to suggest that Atlantis would have been in Africa is because, well, besides the fact that elephants are known to be throughout Africa, they used to be in Mauritania. They're unfortunately pretty much extinct there today. But another little detail that most people aren't aware of because they think of Atlantis like, oh, it must be at the bottom of the ocean. Well, that's not exactly how Plato worded it. He did describe that the aftermath of Atlantis followed a catastrophic event involving water is that what was left of Atlantis was reeds of grass and a shoal of mud that prevented ships from navigating to and from. And
So a shoal of mud, what was left, and they couldn't ride a ship over that anymore. Interesting.
Atlantis was reeds of grass and a shoal of mud that prevented ships from navigating to and from. And what people don't realize is that Sahara Africa, up until about 4,500 to 5,000 years ago, was totally green. It was tropical. It had the largest network, or one of the largest networks of rivers ever known to exist. It had the largest freshwater lake ever known to exist, which is Mega Lake Chad, which, just to put this into perspective, it is, if you take all the North American Great Lakes combined, that's 94,000 square miles of surface area, whereas Mega Lake Chad was 139,000.
Whoa.
Massive. Additionally, Atlantis, the capital, was said to have a river that went just north of it or next to it, and the Tamanrasset River went right through the Rishat structure, or just north of it, went all the way to the Atlas Mountains that I described, which is in modern-day Morocco.
Here are the Atlas Mountains up here.
The evidence is that it existed at that same period of time when Atlantis was said to be around 11,600 years ago, prior to its destruction, up until about 5,000 years ago. So going back to my point, like, a lot of people see the Sahara Desert and they don't realize that this place was unbelievably different than it is today. And one of the things that's so important is that I know some people listening will hear Atlantis.
See this right now?
Like, oh, it didn't exist.
Right.
So different than it is today. I mean, this used to be lush and green. And now look at it. And then you see these sweeping sands. Look at these sweeping sands pulling out over this Rishat structure. I mean, they out there, I wonder if they want it to be known as Atlantis, because it could get more tourism to Mauritania, right?
Whether it existed or not, the evidence that we're going to chat about today to show you that there is conclusive evidence, I would say, that catastrophic water erosion, that the ocean had blasted through the Sahara tens of millions of years more recently than previously known. According to the science...
You have me right there. That I absolutely agree with. I don't think it's Atlantis, once again, but still, what he's talking about, these sweeping waters moving and causing catastrophic destruction upon this landmass here, potentially, this Rishat structure area. Very true, because look at it.
56 to 66 million years ago was the time of the Trans-Saharan Seaway, which was the last time the ocean blasted through it. However, there are a few lines of evidence that say otherwise. Besides the fact that anyone that looks at the Sahara Desert through the Google Earth app, you can see fluvial striations, which is signature traits of water erosion.
That's what he's talking about. This
confirmed by other experts that look into these things. I like to mention Randall Carlson.
Mm-hmm.
He's someone that's analyzed the area and has said, yes, this is catastrophic water erosion. One of the signature lines of evidence that suggests that the ocean blasted through it far more recently was the largest volcano in Sahara Africa is in Chad. It's Mount Kusi, and there is a lava flow that goes through it that is dated at 12,000 or so years ago. The volcano itself is supposed to be somewhere between 1.2 and 2.3 million years ago. But if you look at Mount Kusi to the south, you can see, and I don't know, Jamie, if you're able to bring up one of the photos of that mountain chain, but you can see that the water erosion cuts off that lava flow directly to the south. Yeah, keep going over. A little bit right there. Okay, so go over a couple. That is the mountain, and you can see those striations, which are signature traits of water erosion. All those white blemishes are salt, and I should point out real quick that it is a confirmed fact that much of the Sahara has surface level salt. And you see those white blemishes on that mountain? That is not cloud, that is not snow. Those are salt deposits.
And surface level salt that would have been from the ocean?
That is what I suggest, because in the middle of that caldera, you have huge patches of salt. And is it reasonable to suggest that that salt existed before the creation of that volcano? Because it seems to me that all that that salt would burn up.
Right.
And not only that, there is scientific studies that show that there are gastropods, which are sea life, that existed inside that caldera that used to be 1,000 feet deep and dried up just a few thousand years ago. So the fact that this is an 11,000-foot volcano that has salt on top of it.
Had to slow that down there for a second because I am like, what?
I would say is corresponding evidence that the ocean had once went through it. And if you go over a couple more images, Jamie, you will see far better images that show you that. Okay, so notice how it cuts off. You see to the black right here? That is a lava flow that's dated around 12,000 or so years ago. And regardless of whether the volcano or that water erosion happened 12,000 years ago or 2 million years ago, that in itself is evidence that the ocean blasted through the Sahara Desert literally 50 to 60 million years more recently than previously known. And the implications of this, as far as climate science, as far as the topic of geology and cataclysms, cannot be overstated. I mean, does it not look like that water, or excuse me, that lava flow was cut off by whatever type of erosion that is?
I don't think this is the same structure. This is a really cool one. Structure he's talking about, the Kusi Mountains.
Does it? I mean, that's
completely. Yeah, it's such a clean line, and it aligns with all the water erosion marks that are to the left of it. Can you make that smaller, Jamie? Can you make it stretch it out? Yeah.
And oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Nothing. It's just like you could really clearly see that it looks like a line, like a water line passed through what was marked by the volcanic eruption.
And this is one thing I say, and like it's visible to anyone that has eyes to see, but it turns out that the Sahara Desert is one of the least studied places on Earth, mostly because it's so inhospitable. It's an average of 125 degrees Fahrenheit much of the year. It is so unbelievably big that just to get out there, I mean, you need reliable aircraft or vehicles. There is most of the countries out there are, I regret to say, third world in that you just don't have supplies. It's not feasible to just travel out there with a whole team on a whim. So most of it is essentially undocumented. And
they find a lot of Spinosaurus dinosaur skeletons out there in Mauritania.
Not a site. The Sahara as a whole isn't a site that gets much attention, unfortunately.
Ben, we got to bring you in, otherwise it's going to talk forever.
Yeah. No, I was going to say something that you mentioned about the origin of, I guess, Plato's description. You said it was mud and grasses was like the aftermath. It's interesting. It's the topic I've been exploring recently. Is that does match some of the translations of origin stories from the ancient Egyptians. So it's like that the Temple of Horus at Edfu, it's this amazing structure, but it's literally covered head to toe in hieroglyphs and descriptions.
But those same Egyptians told Solon that they were Solon's ancestors, not the Egyptians' ancestors. So that's where I'm like,
And all these types of things. But one of the stories in the translations they do talk about is this, what they would call the original point, or the primordial mound, the primordial island. They describe it as being an island that was surrounded by water that was sinking, and essentially these reeds that were growing on it that created a falcon's perch, and then the god, it was either Horus or Hurun, one of the falcon gods, alights on this perch and then gains divinity. But as part of that story, I mean, they and then he goes and forms Kemet, essentially the motherland Egypt, and it's this tale of them, I guess, their civilization moving and migrating to this new land. But
that's what it sounds like.
They do talk about a whole stack of unknown gods and a whole culture that existed before that.
That existed but are just gone now.
It's an interesting correlation. It's something that Graham Hancock speculated about in his work with the Temple of Horus at Edfu. You know, they also have, you know, catastrophic flood myths.
And there's also there's also throughout this area here on Sicily, there's like secret little there's like secret, what is it? No, is it Corsica? One of these islands has like ancient aligned temples. And I'm sure that there's probably ancient temples on every single, or at least remnants of an ancient temple on every single one of these islands, right? So what does that have to do with Atlantis? What if that culture, that ancient culture, was connected to Atlantis? It's sea peoples. I always wonder about the sea people. Who were the sea people? The sea peoples. An array of aggressive seafarers who invaded the eastern Anatolia, Syria, Palestine, Cyprus, and Egypt toward the end of the Bronze Age in the 13th century BC. They invaded over here. Well, if they invaded over here, it would make more sense that they're probably coming from over here, this area, or up here, the sea peoples. But also, did those sea peoples come from here, from Atlantis, from outside the pillars of Hercules, the Strait of Gibraltar? Or is it over here in the Azores? All right, let's go back to it.
And things like this, but it may be that whatever prior civilization, and that's might have been where the dynastic Egyptians actually got their origins from, because it seems clear that they've inherited some things from the past. That's a story they themselves tell.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that the story of Atlantis had come from Egypt.
That's one of the most bizarre parts about it. I didn't know this until just a few years ago either. It's like, oh, wait a second, Plato, his distant relative Solon had traveled there in search of knowledge because Egypt was the place to go for it. And
yeah, it was the priests of the Delta that told Solon, and they said that so 6,000 years or 9,000 years, prior to the time of Solon was when the sinking of this city happened, and that works out to be 9,600 BC, so 11,600 years ago, which is bang on exactly where now the geological evidence points to basically the end of the Younger Dryas cataclysms. Like we know something happened at the start at like 12,800, 900 years, and then 11,600 years ago was that end of the Younger Dryas that brought us up out of the cold spell and into the Holocene.
Isn't it crazy that that's a full 1,000 years, and we think about it in like the same time period? Like, yeah, I mean, around that time.
I know, just playing
we're
around with it.
literally 11,600 to 12,800. We're literally talking about 1,000 fucking years.
It is.
It's so much time.
It's a lot of time. So this guy's channel is Bright Insight. I thought we could listen to a quick video.
Possible that no one is talking about this. As I've shared in recent videos, the inexplicable catastrophic water erosion that is clearly visible throughout the Sahara Desert is so extreme that even the stripped bedrock scarring from whatever this mysterious flood event was can easily be observed from space. But the only thing more bizarre than finding such profound water erosion in the middle of the Sahara Desert, of all places, is the fact that virtually nobody within the scientific or academic community seems to be aware of it, much less discussing it.
That's the thing that's weird to me. I've seen this thing before. I've seen this, but like, it doesn't feel like it gets enough attention. They look at it and it's like, oh, maybe it doesn't get enough attention because it is so inaccessible, so hard to reach. And really, without Google Earth and the internet, a lot of people weren't exposed to this idea.
Which I have to say, I find quite strange. Yet, the signature traits of a cataclysmic flood event are visible to all who have eyes to see. And you certainly do not have to be a geologist to distinguish the natural characteristics of water striations. But thanks to the internet, you can quite literally access undergraduate course curriculum in geomorphology that teaches us exactly what water erosion over bedrock looks like. Now, the reason why this is so important to understand is because according to everything we've been taught involving the history of climate change on Earth, any recent catastrophic water erosion in the Sahara Desert is simply not supposed to exist or even be possible, leading many to ignore this obvious fluvial erosion and foolishly dismiss it as being created by the wind and nothing more.
When you realize Sahara proves a great flood actually happened. I stumbled on this guy years before he even hopped on Rogan, when I was really interested into trying to figure out where Atlantis is, because I think Atlantis is real. I think Atlantis is real. The way I look at history, the way I've studied history, and the way I've looked at that myth, or at least the more research I come into terms with, really makes me think that place is a real, or at least was a real place, or the idea of it was real at one time. It was some place. Where? I don't know. I think it was somewhere in this picture. somewhere in this picture is Atlantis, right? Some people say, oh, it was America. Some people say, oh, it's Puerto Rico, Cuba area. Some people say, they might be right. Some people say it's the Azores. Look at this little circle here. But flipped like a mud thing. So, does that fit something out maybe over here? Cape Verde. Look at that little volcano. Look at that. That's an undersea volcano. You can just see everything. You want to see something crazy? Take a look at this. Guys, what is that? Look at that. That's just the crust coming apart, guys. That's the Earth's crust. And that's where two crusts meet. Isn't that nuts? Google Earth is so cool, showing these. And I also think, look at the ocean. It looks like sometimes, it looks like things were scraped. Look at this. This looks like a surface of a moon. Like something was just scraped across. This maybe could have been a giant iceberg, right? Or giant rocks. Or it could be stress in the subterranean plates. Well, hello. Let's finish this.
Because after all, the idea of an ancient flood event is apparently far too fringe and pseudo to entertain, which I have to say is such a bizarre and honestly lazy thing to suggest on something that is so easily verifiable. There are so many places on Earth that are known for consistently high wind conditions, and none of them have any sort of striations such as those found in the Sahara. And the reason for this is because this is simply not what wind erosion looks like. Simply research the 10 windiest places on Earth and then view them from satellite imagery via the Google Earth app, and you will observe with your own eyes that none of these locations have any level of striations whatsoever. In fact, the #1 windiest place on Earth is Commonwealth Bay in Antarctica. And if there was any type of geological element that would make striations easy to form, it would be in snow and ice rather than bedrock. Yet you'll notice that none of these striations exist anywhere in Antarctica. Go down the list of the windiest places on Earth, will it be Wellington, New Zealand, which is #2, or Bridge Creek in the state of Kansas, not far from Dodge City, which is the 3rd windiest, or Mount Washington in the state of New Hampshire.
Where do you guys think the Nazi base is? Where do you guys think the secret Nazi base is? Or can we not get to it? Can we not see it on the map? There actually is. You could actually look that up. There's somewhere there is.
Hampshire at #4
in Antarctica.
And go all the way down the list and you'll notice the same thing every time. A complete and total lack of striations of any kind. Make no mistake, the stripped bedrock striations found throughout the Sahara Desert were created by a force of water, just like they teach would-be geologists in college. Like I always say, look and think for yourself. We all have the ability to fact-check details from our smartphones and laptops with simple movements of our fingertips. What an amazing time to be alive, am I right? But if comparisons are not convincing enough, the very fact that enormous quantities of salt exist in all prior mentioned areas of fluvial erosion is additional corresponding evidence that seawater had settled and later evaporated here following whatever this mysterious event was that blasted its way through the Sahara. Like I mentioned in my prior video, this force of water even cut its way through a 12,000-year-old lava flow, which is hard evidence that this event happened far more recently in our past than anyone thought possible. You can literally see the line of erosion that cuts off and erases that very lava flow, which nobody else seems to be discussing. And speaking of things that no one else seems to be talking about, and if everything I've shared so far isn't enough to convince you that the ocean was the cause of all this erosion, wait until you see what I found on the other side of the world. Notice those small white blemishes in the middle of Australia. Sure. Those are salt flats that make up the region of Lake Eyre, an ancient lake that sits 15 meters or nearly 50
We got salt flats in America too.
feet below sea level. And notice the unique geological pattern that connects it to the north. Look at all those striations, identical to those that we see in the Sahara. And not only that, they are covered in salt. And so when you consider this region's elevation below sea level and that it once obviously connected to the ocean at the south, it could not be more apparent that a massive force of water once blasted its way.
By the way, guys, it's not shocking that we're learning new things about the Earth as we come to more information, more people learn things, and we stand on the shoulders of everybody who we have learned on. Like,
through the middle of Australia as well. This similarity is highly significant considering that many struggle to wrap their head around the idea that the Sahara was blasted by the ocean when much of the region is...
do you guys see this? Holy shit. You guys see that pattern? Let me show you something. Is this... So... All right. So, I liked it when he used to play Fortnite. So, you see ancient Greece here and all these islands? Well, ancient Greece and Turkey, it all used to be together. You guys see how it, do you guys can see how it all used to be together? And eventually something happened here with the Black Sea in this area, and there was some sort of explosion, land explosion. I wonder if that caused anything to go, you know, look at this, water to go right and left. And where would it go? It'd go almost very similar. It's like, and left. I don't know, just my little theory. It's fun to play theory. I just love playing Atlantis theory. So fun. Atlantis theory is so freaking fun.
It's currently about 1,000 feet above sea level. At least that's where it is today. However, that certainly was not always the case, as the evidence shows. And considering the consistent below sea level elevation in this region of Australia, along with the profound signatures of water-induced erosion, and along with the layer of salt that sits on top of it, in fact, so much salt that it can be clearly seen from space.
Pens down, everyone. All right, what was the gradient?
When you tie all these fascinating details together, it makes it very easy for anyone to understand that whatever happened here also happened to the Sahara, and it wasn't wind.
Okay, I follow.
And by the way, it must be
ice, water.
Pointed out that whatever this event was is not limited to the Sahara, because...
And imagine, look at... Oh, whoa. Whoa. Now imagine, if you will, an ice shelf perched right upon this area. Right there where the rich at structure is, there is a pulsating, if you will, volcanic uproot, right? That's where this dome comes. And meanwhile, above it is the cooling ice. So it creates a weird ice. The ice above it has a weird cooling effect on a strong cooling effect on this volcanic thing as it happens. It rises, pops, cools, rises, pops, cools, rises, pops, cools, rises, pops, bounces off of the ice sheet, eventually causing this ice sheet to melt, give way, and cause a chaotic shift of the ice sliding off of the land into the ocean, creating all these striations here.
Because if you evaluate the surrounding region, you'll notice that
I just want to say, the ice is not just here. The ice shelf would be here. The whole thing would be ice shelf. By the way, this area 5,000, 10,000 years ago used to be lush green forest. But during the time of the Romans, ancient Romans, it was not. Look closer to this, but yet still they had the ancient Moroccans out there who brought a lot of hell and fight to the Romans, including Hannibal, that famous general. This is why I love Atlantis theory. It connects history.
Whatever this event was, it clearly ripped its way through the modern-day country of Sudan and Saudi Arabia and the region of the Red Sea and Persian Gulf.
Back to the left.
Saudi Arabia and the region of the Red Sea and Persian Gulf, respectively.
Okay,
in fact, if you expand your search, you'll start to realize that whatever this event was seems to have originated either directly out of the Mediterranean Sea.
Remember what I said? Remember what I said
or
about the
perhaps even north of it.
Remember what I said? Not that this guy's, it's just interesting that these theories that we kind of develop, and it's like we're onto something, guys.
This raises many questions, and I'm going to explore this topic thoroughly in an upcoming video where I will share.
None of this looked like this 5,000 years ago, guys. This bright orange, burnt desert wasn't there. Land was there, but it was a different biome. Different creatures live there. Lions, tigers. I mean, of course they are in Asia and in Africa, but up here there used to be lions and tigers and stuff like that. Up there in Europe, in Turkey.
More thoughts on what may have actually happened to cause
The Nile used to be way more lush and green. You see all this? Way more lush and green all along it. That's how they survived.
all this, but I have to say we must consider that the nature of certain cataclysmic events on Earth may very well be way worse than most people ever considered. But if there was one takeaway from all of this, it's the realization that the Sahara Desert was blasted by the ocean tens of millions of years more recently than what was previously known, and nobody within the scientific or academic community seems to even be aware of it, which is startling because the
That's what's weird. It's like, how are we, the amateur scientists, knocking on this door? And where are the real, the non-amateur, the ones, or do you have to get paid, or is there no money in this?
implications of whatever this event was is truly a game changer in our understanding of Earth's true geological history, and this cannot be ignored. Leave a comment and share your thoughts on all of this.
Interesting stuff. I thought he's got a longer video, the secret files on the Eye of the Sahara and the lost ancient city of Atlantis. If you want to check that out, go check it out on the Bright Insight. As in Yoshiyokio saying, we're lucky stuff says stays the same. We're lucky that stuff stays the same from day to day. The surface of Mars changes landscapes a couple of times a day due to the wind. Surface of Mars wind. Surface winds typically move about 16 to 32 kilometers. That's about 10 to 20 miles per hour on Mars. Oh, let's do this. No, that's old. I like to do the newest articles. No, we don't know how old this was. ASU? We don't know how new this is, though. Does it give me a date? There's no date. See, I'm a born researcher, right? See this? There's no date on this that I could determine when this information is true or when it was true. So, not a great source. Even though it is an ASU website, so it's a decent source, not a great source. Source hunting, the fact and fiction. Wins on Mars. Understanding the red planets. The film The Martian saw astronaut Mark Watney marooned on Mars after a dust storm threatened to topple his crew's ascent aircraft. Although the film is pretty true to the science and technology that would be needed for a human mission to Mars, this opening scene was played with a lot of dramatic license. Even though Martian wind can peak up over 100 kilometers per hour, the atmosphere is so thin, you'd barely notice this in a spacesuit. You'd barely notice the wind going that hard. That's not to say a more complete understanding of Martian winds is not needed. Apparently, they are working on that. Hank is saying you should be able to get recent information as we have rovers on it, dude. Dude. Can we get a live feed on that? That'd be awesome. Can you imagine living 1812 Philadelphia? Imagine being 1858 somewhere in Kansas City, and you have a picture of not just the moon, but of Mars. This is mind-boggling stuff. Do you guys think anything ever lived on Mars at a time? Or was there... They have found water. But do you think there was life that was there and potentially, basically got destroyed at some point? That's interesting. Love that. Dude, this is why it's so cool. All right, real quick, dig into some Randall Carlson here. Cosmographia.
To summarize all this, I think what I've tried to show here is that the recat structure is a very interesting thing, worthy of study in its own right.
Yes, I agree with everything you're saying there. It's interesting. It's worthy of study. I don't think it's Atlantis, though, but we'll see.
But I would not conclude that was Atlantis. For one thing, being 1,500 feet above sea level, when Plato clearly describes Atlantis subsiding and being submerged beneath the Atlantic Ocean. I don't know how you would square something, and there's no evidence that I'm aware of.
Well, maybe Randall, maybe it was submerged at one time. Maybe something happened where this area was submerged at one time and then it was unsubmerged. But I'll take your word for it that I agree. We're probably looking at a different location for Atlantis.
Under the ocean.
Water has been found on Mars with some type of bacteria in it. So that is amounts of life. That is some amounts of life. But I wonder how much life truly, existed on Mars. Was there anything bigger than single cell organisms and anything like that? Was there ecosystems, full-fledged ecosystems with food chain webs and systems, elemental systems like the carbon system, say, or the water system, H2O, the way the water system works here there had to be some sort of water system, or because how did water form there? But right, but to what degree?
Until you go way back, when the deposition of those limestones occurred, which obviously was not within any time frame that would be consistent with Atlantis. However, it does appear that there were extreme floods and fluvial erosion over the plateau that would have been ultimately responsible for exposing the core of this unique structure that would have been buried beneath many hundreds of feet, maybe thousands of feet of bedrock.
Tokyo saying, I thought Atlantis was in the Atlantic. That's what Randall Carlson would agree with you. This is the Atlantic Ocean. And right here, this is not the Atlantic Ocean. It's next to it. And that's one of Randall's arguments is, maybe it's not that. And I tend to agree. He thinks it could be this. I wonder if it could be Ronaldo's hometown, the Canary Islands. What if Ronaldo is an Atlantean and that's why he is so superhuman or has that ability? I don't know. Just floating ideas here.
At one time. So I'm going with the natural explanation that it's a domal uplift.
Tokyo saying we might have nuked ourselves into oblivion at one point and came to Earth. Maybe we fled from Mars. That's possible. I've heard that. I've heard that theory. Right? I've definitely heard that. You look at the belt of broken up comets and whatever is that that between us and Mars and the rest of the planets, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter. What if something hit something and it changed our whole little galaxy, our whole little solar system, and altered where Mars and Earth were? Well, Earth is currently in the Goldilocks zone. They call it the Goldilocks zone, but here's the thing about the Goldilocks zone. That's a guess. That's the best guess they got. They're like, yeah, we think that this is the best place, and that, because we're here, so this must be where life grows, but it's possible life grows outside of the Goldilocks zone as well.
Lift, shear off the top.
I gotta run to the bathroom. I'll be right back here as Randall tells us a little bit more. I
exposes the rings, that it's based on a magma plume. Possibly the idea that there could be an impact event somewhere in its genesis, although the opinions that have pretty much emerged in the recent studies of this, which include geophysical surveys and on-site sampling and things like that, using Raman spectroscopy and various sophisticated technologies to identify the minerals and the composition of the basalts and so on, that, yeah, it clearly is a natural feature, a magnificent natural feature that was occupied by various groups of people And if there was a civilization during the Ice Age that could have visited it and could have been a source of inspiration. But I've thought for a long time that many of the circular structures that were impacts might have served as inspiration. And the, you know, the number of large circles that we find in this obsession with circles in so many ancient cultures. You know, look at Avebury and then look at Newark, right? And what we just looked at, the Portsmouth with these multiple ringed structures. So somewhere that idea implanted itself in the human brain. So hopefully we've covered enough now that I think we can, you know, I don't know how somebody is going to now come back and make the argument that this was in fact the literal Atlantis,
Right.
because it's just too many details inconsistent with Plato's account. And Plato's,
I think you answered the question. The question that a lot of viewers had was they want to hear what you think about it, and that's what you have just done. So,
yeah,
I don't think there's going to be a lot of fighting about this. I mean, there might be one or two guys, but
Oh, there's going to be an all-out brawl.
Let's skip these guys.
And what we come up with is a model that's pretty damn consistent with his scenario. And I tried to show, and
we talk about Plato.
We certainly didn't cover all of the science. There was all kinds of the science, the marine geology and the oceanography and stuff we didn't get into. We got into enough to show that this idea that subsidence of the ocean bottom is not woo, it's not inconsistent. It could have been very substantial, could have been several thousand feet, right? We've shown that there was major catastrophic events that occurred in the Atlantic Ocean.
Sank into the ocean.
Was consistent with Plato's chronology.
And that's consistent, right? So where did an island sink into the ocean? Well, let me tell you, these islands look very much exposed. Well, maybe it sank and was re-exposed, or maybe it just outright sank. Well, here's some candidates. Sank. Here's some candidates. Ooh, it looks a little round almost. Look at that. We just find Atlantis here, guys? I mean, it's fun to speculate. But this is actually where Randall does think that, see these ridges? See these ridges in the crust? This is recent activity. All of this. This is new. How they figured that out? I don't know. Science. They figured it out, though. People who did have a vested interest in proving Atlantis were it's papers that have nothing to do with Atlantis. They have to do with fluidial movement in the ocean and landmass. And they were just talking about the Azores area and how it's interesting that there's been seemingly recent shifts in the last couple thousand years of this area. And they're trying to figure out, were there other islands here that have disappeared? And it looks like there were.
Chronology, right? So you've got Plato's highly detailed account, which you know, the question.
And that's the other thing. People want to downplay Plato's highly detailed account that came from Solon, his dad, his great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa, who was a king of Greece. One of the most famous, perhaps the most famous king of Greece, Solon, related to Plato. Got the story from them, handed down in his family. There's something about it that's true, and it's not just... that's what's weird about this, because he taught people. Plato and Solon taught somebody. FC Neotoka say, okay, best Atlantis internationals, and where do they finish in the World Cup? The best Atlantis internationals. Here we go. Let's go. Leo Messi. Okay, let's go Team Atlantis. That's gonna be a Messi. No, sorry. Ronaldo for sure. Any soccer players from Canary Islands? Let's try there. Jesus Alvaro, Kirian Ledesma, Fabio Gonzalez, Julian Marino plays for a female, the girl Portuguese team, the women Portuguese team, Benito del Toro, and Silvia Doblado. So boom, we got some Canary Islands, potentially some Atlanteans. Let's is there a look about Atlanteans? No, I don't know. It's Kaka. Oh, it's David Silva? David Silva's from the Canary Islands? Atlantis confirmed, guys. Come on. What more proof do you need? So there's one of our Atlantis internationals, David Silva. Ledesma. That's Jesse Rodriguez. Perez. Ramirez. Olivero. Ruben Castro. Heck yeah. What the hell's Ronaldo? Cristiano Ronaldo. Let's go to the hospital where he was born. Let's just take a look real quick. This is the hospital. This is where Cristiano was born, guys. Right where, I think, kind of around Atlantis. He'd be in my Atlantis top 11. Angus saying if Messi's the GOAT, CR7's the mermaid. It's the mermaid. He's a merman. Merman. All right, back to it.
Question I ask over and over again is how much can you deviate from that and still be talking about Atlantis, right? Now we turn to the recat structure, and basically what we're seeing is that we've got half a century or more of studies going back, all of which the controversies are surrounding the idea of how it was formed, but nobody.
Speaking of how it was formed, FC Neo Tokyo saying that Ronaldo wasn't born, dude. He was invented. The island looks sketch as fuck. Let's find out what island this is. It's the island of Madeira. Part of the Canary Islands, the Canarias, right? Let's take a look at it in the, look at that. That is a freaking mountain. Go to Las Palmas just for a moment. Just take a look at the photo. That's so sick. All right, can we go there and just plop down on the street? I need a good view. Yeah. Come on, can I walk? Yes. Boom. There. Look at that. We are here, the Canary Islands. Can you imagine a kid in 1812 being like, yep, all right, check. Oh, they think that freaking, they wouldn't know about T-Rex. They've never seen Jurassic Park like we have, right? Come on, get out of the way, trees. There it is. There's the grand, look at that. Look at that. The monster. Look at this monster. Look at this. This is that. Oh, look at this. Not very tall, but just big, large, intimidating. What is it? Why is nothing on there? But there is. There's tons. There's tons. There's, look. City. But that's just one part of the Canary Islands. That's not even where Ronaldo was born. Holy shnikes, guys. Look at this. Let's take a walk around Madeira real quick. Let's go to Quinta Grande. You take us to Quinta Grande. What the fuck? We're in a tunnel. Oh, that's epic. It's epic. Here we are in Portugal, Canary Islands, off the coast of Africa. But this is Portugal. Look at this. Absolutely.
He disputes the fact that it was other than a natural phenomenon.
Natural phenomenon, yeah.
Yeah, and you can't, I mean, when you're talking about gabbroic dikes that feed down into a demonstrable magma chamber, I mean, clearly that is a natural feature.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a geologic feature. It is not
Angus saying, I learned my second fact about the Canary Islands with Ronaldo being born there.
human made.
Atlantean confirmed.
Perfect.
Next episode, Antarctic Atlantis.
I was going to say, let's do the moon and prove that the Atlanteans came from the moon.
Well,
Atlanteans from Antarctica, or Atlanteans from the moon?
when you said Antarctica, now, I know that there's been a couple of books or a book written.
Well, Antarctica drifted down to where it's at. It actually might have, it's possible.
Purportedly claiming or making the case that Atlantis was in Antarctica. I have no doubt that Antarctica's yield up all kinds of interesting secrets and mysteries and information.
There's some dinosaurs there
that we're
have
going to learn. And
a lot
nor
yet
would
to
I
be
rule
discovered.
out the possibility that there were times when there was major deglaciation episodes of Antarctica and it could have been colonized by people. I'm not going to rule that out.
Possible.
However, again,
He's a scientist.
have a very difficult time stretching Plato's detailed accounts to make Atlantis put it in Antarctica.
No, impossible.
Especially when you can see what we've covered over these last 4 or 5 episodes here.
Yeah.
You've got to confront. You got to address that information. You've got to address the information that there is empirical evidence of major subsidence along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. You've got to address the evidence that the Azores Plateau could have been a substantial island during the Ice Age. So, I mean, if you're not addressing that, then, I don't know, don't waste my time anymore. But
Yeah, basically, right. Maybe that doesn't mean we don't want to go look at these other places.
of course not. I mean, all of these places are extremely interesting.
I mean, that's why the chat structure is absolutely extremely interesting as a potential site for Atlanta. I mean, look, it's hop, skip, and a jump away. Oh, cool. We can go there. Let's go. We're going to Richat. We're going to Richat. We're going. No, put it back. I see it. You see it? Won't let me go? Come on, let me go. Why won't you let me see? Okay, well, look at this. Why? Wild. Don't know where we're at anymore, right? We want to check this out, but we can't. All right, we'll go back to it.
Right.
Invaluable.
Whatever. If there is an advanced, very ancient lost civilization in Antarctica, it just isn't Atlantis. It's just an ancient lost civilization that's in Antarctica.
Okay, I can give you that. There's definitely, if there is an ancient lost civilization in Antarctica, it's not Atlantis. It's not that one.
Yeah.
However, maybe it's related.
Yeah.
They all stray from Plato in one or many ways.
Right. That's right.
Now,
It's not acceptable.
Plato does describe, outlier colonies. I mean, he talks about Atlanteans coming all the way in, to the inner Mediterranean. Again, all this is hypothetical.
Okay.
But in staying conservative in terms of our hypothesizing, if you had a maritime culture in the mid-Atlantic, there's no reason why it also couldn't have colonized the United States, South America, the British Isles. I mean, if they were in the kind of culture that they would create. I mean, like what Plato's describing, triremes, which are going to be wooden ships, wooden sailing ships, right? Well, I mean, what's going to exist of that ever after 11, 12, 13,000 years? And then given the nature of the terminal ice age catastrophes that swept over huge regions of the Earth's surface, I mean,
and not just in that area, but I mean, he's talking about in America, 11,000 years ago, how like there's various places there that in America that like have these weird weather erosions and weird weather patterns that just, science has yet to properly explain or give good enough explanation to talk about why maybe this has to do with why there's missing remnants of civilizations in the Americas.
We wouldn't expect to find much of such a culture. I mean,
you wouldn't expect to find much, especially after an iceberg hits you.
If the Phoenician culture had existed 14,000 years ago, what would we expect to find of it now? Probably not much.
Paper?
And as far as the the ringed city structure that we were just looking at. You know, now that would be the thing. If we found that submerged, I mean, that would be pretty, pretty convincing evidence. But I don't know. I mean,
Of course,
whether that
the guy we were listening to earlier saying, "Oh, that structure's above land and it's that Reyna structure."
was real or whether
This guy's aware of that possibility, but
flat top, submerged islands that they found the beach sand on.
Yeah, somewhere like that. Yeah,
dive down there.
and that's where we would be looking. And I think
they
that,
found submerged islands with beach sand on it, and beach sand is not typically found on islands that were never not submerged, right? So like an island that had eventually came out and was an island, it could be still an island underneath the water, but this island was above, somehow made sand, beach sand.
there remains to be seen some pretty interesting discoveries along the Azores Plateau and the Mid-Atlantic Ridge and sunken islands generally in the Atlantic Ocean. And in fact, I mean, sometimes the clue is right in your face. I mean, the Atlantic Ocean, where does it get its name?
Right.
It's named after Atlantis. Whoever, way back whenever, named the Atlantic Ocean, they had Atlantis in mind. Right?
Why?
I saw somebody commenting saying,
Why?
well, no, nobody believed that, Atlantis was, everybody believed that Plato just meant it as a metaphor, which of course is not true at all. I mean, if you go back and you look at the commentary, you realize that it was pretty much split down the middle. The pre-Socratics all believed in a literal Atlantis. The Aristotelians thought that Plato meant it as a metaphor, but the pre-Socratics and a lot of and then into the Pythagoreans, they all believed it was literal, that it actually existed, and so did the Arabs. There's enough references, vague references, to suggest that there was evidence that the Arabs and
they have Arab references that are totally separate from Plato references to Atlantis. There you go.
A lot of that tradition of Atlantis.
Oh, cool.
Now, there's a lot more that we could be talking about, but if people want to get that, they're going to have to buy the book. So
that's right. Perfect.
Yep, print that slideshow, put it on Amazon.
That's right.
Well, we probably didn't even look at half of the total number of slides.
Yeah.
So, but it was enough, I think, to lay out the rudiments of the case that I'm trying to make here.
I think so.
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff, guys. This Atlantean myth. I mean, it's just something calls to you. You guys have anything like that? Any mysteries that you often find yourself maybe wondering about, or the unsolvable ones, the ones that maybe there's not enough proof, but it's fun to throw some thoughts out there, get the thinky computer rolling and theorize. Actually, I want to hear about the geology of the Reyna structure.
Extrusive rock is the intrusive equivalent of basalt. So basalt comes out of the ground and spreads out in the atmosphere, right? Gabbro and that's an extrusive rock. Gabbro is an intrusive rock, but in other words, if the same magma comes up, but it doesn't breach the surface and flow out as basalt, crystallizes underground, that's typically, so gabbro or gabbroic rocks are the intrusive equivalent of basalts, right? And that's what you've got here. These are basically
like granite, or is that something else?
Well, granite is an intrusive because granite again is formed, under the ground. Like you can have granite, the magmas that form granite can flow out in.
Remember my theory, guys, where I said, what if there's ice above this? And that affects it. So it's forming. So originally it's forming and then it keeps melting the ice. So now there's water. And there's a top, and it's like a water, almost like a vacuum.
And it's tend to one side of the geochemical spectrum, more towards the silicate rocks, rather than right? And a lot has to do with the chemical composition of the rocks, what kind of magmas are formed. And of course, that is oftentimes how you identify the distinct types of magma. Because, for example, here in these layers, you've got, let's see, I might have a better one here. Let's get to this. Okay, so in this cross section of the structure, you can see that the dots are sandstones. And then the sort of the little block diagram here, these are limestones, and then there's more sandstones. And these are really old rocks. I mean, they go back, you know, hundreds of millions of years. But so basically what you've got is you've got this structure, you've got the gray areas, the magma welling up from below. You've got these
What if there's also water, trapped water, steam?
Existing, as it said earlier, pre-existing structural weaknesses, which to me, okay, possibly two explanations. One would be that the pressures from below are great enough, and probably through tectonic processes there have been fractures, but it's a fairly flat-lying basin there called the Taudeni Basin that the recat structure is found in. And so are the pressures from below enough to cause the fracturing of the bedrock that then allows the extrusion of the magmas? Or conversely,
and like I said, throw that on top of or above underneath an ice sheet.
Was there an impact that actually was able to cause the fractures? And once you had the cracks within this lid, this
no ice sheet at all,
rock lid that's holding everything down, it's now free to well up and come out. We'll leave that question for now. The point is that there were weaknesses within the overlying bedrock that allowed this magma to come up and flow out. And you know, we've got different kinds. It's talking about here you can see these little cross sections represent each one of these plumes then becomes a volcano, right? And
by the way, guys, they have no idea how this formed. This is like the best guess they have, is what this guy's saying right now. This is the best guess for how this Rishat structure was formed.
So you've got, these are basaltic magmas down below. And let's see, anything, we'll go to the next one. And so what you're seeing here is that the magmas have gone through some hydrothermal changes and some chemical changes forming
chemical changes, maybe from water, from this ice sheet, that theoretical ice sheet that I've introduced, but could be other things.
Rhyolitic magmas. We're seeing that the overlying structure, as the magma wells out, the overlying structure is falling, essentially dropping down into the magma chamber that is now being voided of the magma. See, so as the pressure below is easing up, it's allowing the rock masses above to essentially subside into.
And now imagine water being in that, so it's steam, explode. It's like it creates this, and in a vacuum, it creates this weird effect. It's my theory.
Into the magma chamber. These arrows here show that the hydrothermal fluid, so there was water involved in this, which leaves a very characteristic fingerprint in the type of metamorphism that you see in the rocks. And so as these magmas pass through the overlying rocks, they will pick up the geochemical characteristics of these rocks.
Why would there be water involved here? Just wondering.
And so that is one of the ways that allows petrologists to identify, or volcanologists to identify the source of various rocks, because an event like this in Mauritania is not going to have the same geochemical signature as a similar event in eastern Washington. And see, so you've got quartzitic.
Which is interesting because there are similar coal deposits between Pennsylvania and Ireland. Go figure. Pennsylvania. Coal deposits. Pennsylvania. Ireland. It might be Scotland, but we'll check. Oh, it's the maybe it's just like some sort of Pennsylvania coal regions. Something there, right? Something's there.
Sandstones, and you've got these limestones. The limestones go back. I'm trying to remember. I think they're Ordovician. So I mean, they're old. 600 million years old.
Mhm.
So there was a lot of material over this that was removed to expose this thing. And here you can see further collapse of the structure and the beginning of the formation of the rings. And here in the middle, you have this, what they're referring to as the hydrothermal breccia. So you've got this tremendous mass at the very center of this thing. You've got this tremendous mass of brecciated rocks, right? The matrix that they're enclosed in is the cement was formed hydrothermally. So in other words, you're looking at this mass of stuff full of broken rock, all cemented together, and the cement was emplaced by highly mineralized flowing water. If you look at these, like if you look at this, you can see the arrows pointing. This is an offset fault where you're seeing, or a strike slip fault.
Yeah.
Right. You see that moving, and those shear forces are tremendous, and they can cause metamorphism. And so then the overlying rock has now been eroded away, kind of leaving a cross section of what the structure looks like now. And you can see here as you're looking at it how it's been domed up.
Right.
Been domed
I was going to say that previous one, it looked like it was ramping down.
Domed up. This is the only one like this that they know of. That explains how.
Now it's a dome structure.
Now it's a dome structure.
Because
And
the
you can
outside
see
is eroded away.
right, and you can see these layers of rock are dipping or tilting outwards because they've done this, see, forming what are called cuestas.
So the question marks, that's basically saying we don't know how deep the magma chamber is beneath it. Is that
correct?
Okay.
Correct. So if we go back to here's a nice colored block diagram kind of showing the same thing. We see the magma chamber underneath. You see the conduits to the surface, how they coincide with the gabbroic rings. So this would have solidified under the surface of the ground.
Okay.
You guys see this? Okay, so the pressure pushes it.
And only later than when the overlying rock layers are stripped away are you going to see the underlying ring structure.
But what would make it so soft and weird that it would do that?
Sure. There's a fault system, like for example, right here.
I think we'll move on from that. Azores, I already know. What was this? This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about.
Well, you got 2005, and this.
So if mer people are discovered, you smashing? No way.
Is the
there's some
Spartel
cartoon.
Bank.
There's some cartoon about that.
Let's pull this up here.
I made that joke.
So here's the Straits of Gibraltar, which is what Plato called the Pillars of Heracles.
This one will be quick, guys.
And then you
getting close to shutting down here. I was gonna talk about Swiss watches and what makes them so special, but maybe I'll save that for the next episode. I wanted to get into that.
You've got this square area here, which is the study area. And this is almost due east of the Azores, right, in the Gulf of Cadiz, right? So here's what this study showed in this area right here, which of course would have been in the direct pathway of any tsunami emanating from the triple junction there of the Azores Plateau area. And this is what this particular study is saying. It says numerous, and this appeared in the professional journal Geology, 2005. Numerous geographical similarities exist between Plato's descriptions of Atlantis and a paleo island, Spartel, in the western Straits of Gibraltar. So this The dialogues recount a catastrophic event that submerged the island circa 11.6
This is nuts because this goes back to that mud island theory.
thousand years ago in a single day and night due to violent earthquakes and floods. This sudden destruction is consistent with a great earthquake greater than 8.5 on the Richter scale and a tsunami, as in the Gulf of
Cadiz region in 1755 when tsunami run up heights reached 10 meters. An unusually thick turbidite dated as Ca12 Ka may coincide with the destructive event in Plato's account.
Here in that study area was an unusually thick turbidite. So the limited dating we've got is certainly not inconsistent.
So that paper like directly references.
So the limited dating that they have on these areas seems to suggest that maybe Atlantis is out there. Angus saying I need to go to bed soon, getting up at 4 a.m. to pull out my large, clunky binoculars and hopefully spot Comet ZTF. Dude, heck yes. That reminds me of Aaron Rodgers talking about chilling out on his deck in his backyard and watching the whales go by. How cool. I mean, like, think about that. And it's such a similar, what a cool thing that we are able to do, guys. Like, you watch the whales or watch the comets. We're in such a different position than people were 100, 200, 300 years ago. It's immense. Absolutely immense. It's so cool. The types of telescopes that we have now, Kepler would be like, his head be spinning. You got digital ones that could come up with a digital image on my computer that I could zoom in, take a picture, look at this image off of it. Kepler would be shitting bricks.
Their real hell was Atlantis, right? But it's, again, consistent with the idea that there would have been cataclysmic events that affected the Atlantic Ocean basin and left their imprint on islands, on coastlines, and along the mid-Atlantic ridge itself.
Did they yank his geologist card for mentioning Atlantis?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty amazing that they're sort of admitting that.
No.
So yeah, I mean, okay. So what we've seen over the last few episodes of this is that if we look at Plato's geography, it pretty much points directly to the area west of Strait of Gibraltar.
This way.
And we find that there is plenty of evidence of sunken islands, of massive subsidence along the mid-Atlantic ridge. We find evidence of catastrophic events, not only that might have happened at the end of the last ice age, but maybe episodic going back repeatedly, like that one study that suggested every 25,000 years, which is an interesting period of time, because think how close that is to the Great Year model of 25,920 years. This idea that we've inherited from ancient cultures that there is a pulse of change that is associated with that particular periodicity.
Weird, chat. How cool. You have telescopes on satellites looking at various objects, plus there's one close. I mean, in fact, you could have a telescope on another planet looking at something and you got the image. Like, oh man. In fact, let's have an image from space. Live image from space. Give me a NASA. Is this real? Let's do NASA Live. NASA Live. This dude's in space. Oh, it's just like the NASA channel. Yeah, we lost the files to how to get to the moon. Hey, take a look at this, guys. Live view of a comet. Best view coming in 20 minutes. of C 2022 E3. There it is. I mean, that's the best review we got right now, but people could look closer. Show you guys what this is. Live comment view. Okay. Live comment. See what else we got. That's wild. Like just a picture, but maybe it's just an updated. Wild. It chills sometimes looking at space, right? Possible supernova explosion, just a guess. It just went from 0 to that. Beetlejuice. Don't say it 3 times, guys. Shh. We're looking at a live image. When I was in high school, we used to get high and listen to music and watch the live salvage of Earth on PBS. Dude, that's so hilarious. What we're able to do. This is a live volcano. Whoa! On Earth, somewhere, the lava is boiling. I like live trains. Oh, this is always so fun, guys. This train just keeps going and going. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We gotta go through that. Let's do that. Oh, this looks fun. All right, we're going for it. All right, boys and girls, we're going on a ride. Let's put on the music. Let's put on the tunes. No, let's go some. No. There we go. There we go. As we cool down the stream, it's been a great one. It's been a great Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thanks for FC Neo Tokyo and DPG hopping on. As we cool off, relax. Oh man, this is the way to end the stream. This is sick. Oh no, we're going in. Hold on. Hold. Make sure you got a nice little sweater on, maybe your coat, maybe some good gloves. This went from a sports stream to an edible journey. Yeah. Let me see. Where is it? There it is. Nope. No Thompson Tank Engine music. I was going to talk a little bit about the Swiss watches. I've been intrigued into those. It's been Mrs. Spitfire got me a nice little gift for our wedding, and man, it just made me reminded me, man, I love watches. I'm a watch guy. There it is. We're going through the tunnel with that. Hold on to your butts. I think I see light. I think I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Digging this. What a stream. They never turn out how you expect. Magic every time. Thanks to you guys. Greatly appreciate you guys watching, hanging out, talking a little soccer with me. Catch you guys on the next one. Fire it up, footballers. And don't worry, I'm not leaving yet. I'm hanging in there. Things are getting tense. You still have not exited the tunnel. Thank you, saying, see you, James, in Tokyo. Have a good evening. Absolutely. You guys can see the tunnel is still there. I'm hanging in there. Making it all the way through. We'll figure out what we do next week, guys. Next Wednesday. Then I have I got a new fun way of doing these streams, and today was one of the first little experiments in that vein, and I really liked the way it went. Had a lot of fun with you guys. Talked a lot of stuff I want to talk about, and then talked a lot of stuff that you guys want to talk about, and just like, man, it was, and stuff that you guys talk about was also like stuff that I want to talk about. So I'm like, here's your Death Metal Tokyo, courtesy of YouTube. Almost there. We're gonna make it. Oh, this is a long, wintry, cold tunnel. Can you imagine being a driver on this train? Is that snow? Or is that rock? The sunshine. Place you'd love to be. Look at this nice little mountain town. Ah, hey. Hey, people. Stopping by the Arna station. Stop for the people. Stop. There we go. Hold it. Hold the train. Tunnel. All right, chat. See you on the other side. Have a great evening. Thank you. Spitting fire. Catch you next time.